given during the previous hearings that the committee will review and study on its deliberation of House Bill number 9710. And in observance of the due process, we will give the opportunity to the concerned government agencies, stakeholders, and franchise grantee to state their respective position on the matter. Let me again emphasize that the mandate of the Committee on Legislative Franchise is a granting, amendment, extension, or revocation of the franchise. It is also authorized to exercise its oversight function to determine whether or not a franchise grantee faithfully complies with the terms and conditions of the franchise. The Swara Sub Media Corporation under Republic Act 11422 was granted on August 22, 2019 for 25 years. As there are alleged violations of the franchise agreement, the committee is well within its mandate to look into the matter and can invoke the authority under Section 15 of the law. Thank you, and may now I ask the Committee Secretary to acknowledge and recognize the members and resource persons present in today's hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We have invited the NTC, the SEC, KBP, the MTRCB, and also the SMNI and Swara Sub Media Corporation. And in today's meeting, we have the following resource person from these entities. From the National Telecommunication Commission, we have Deputy Commissioner Alvin Blanco. We also have Attorney Andres Casalar, Director of NTC. From the Securities and Exchange Commission, we have Attorney Romuald C. Padilla, the General Counsel, and Attorney Gerardo Del Rosario. From the MTRCB, we also have Attorney Ana Farina Mindalano, the Chief Legal of MTRCB, and Attorney Ina Beatriz Tolentino, also from MTRCB. From KBP, we have here the legal counsel, Attorney Rudolph Steve Fularbal. And from the SMNI, they are represented by their legal counsel, Attorney Mark Tolentino, Attorney Rolex Suplico, and SMNI consultant Jose Sonsa. Your Honors.
Thank you very much. Before we proceed, I'd like to
Please like, guys, like.
ground rules for an orderly proceeding. Members will be allowed to interpret a resource person for 20 minutes per member, and the time allotted to include questions and answers. The resource persons are entitled to answer direct to the questions only. Members will be recognized on a first register manner, and please register now with the consent. Third, refrain from asking questions already answered except when seeking clarifications. Fourth, in the event the member who has the floor has not completed his questioning after the 20-minute period, he may avail of the second round when time permits. The member will not be allowed to interrupt an interpretation of another member except when seeking a clarification or only if related to the question posed by the member interpreter. Lastly, observe proper decorum and avoid heated arguments. Always address the chair before asking a question and giving the answer, and wait to be recognized. Let us abide by these ground rules to make sure that we can use this time efficiently and productively. So now we...
Please like and share. Share po natin to, guys.
Before I ask, entertain the Honorable because in the list of resource persons,
Smni was present during the hearing, but now they're being represented by the consultant at the same basis. Sandali po, attorney, nandiyan ka na naman. Just relax. Wait to be recognized by the chair. Di pa ako tapos. Mr. Chairman, may seek clarification why the officers of Smni is present.
Thank you. Invitation has been given, especially to the President. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Attorney Marshall Lee.
Mr. Chairman, I have with me the medical certificate of Marlon Rosette. He's not feeling well, and this medical certificate was issued by a licensed medical practitioner last February 6, 2024, Mr. Chairman. Can I submit this to the Honorable Committee?
Please. And so who are the officers of SMNI present in today's hearing?
Mr. Chairman, the other officers are Hannah Jane Sancho, Board of Director.
Are they here?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Cristina San Pedro, Board of Director. Lou De Villa Ayang, Treasurer. Loris Nepomuceno, Corporate Secretary. Yours truly, Mr. Chairman, and Attorney Rolex Supico as the in-house counsel. And our consultant, Mr. Chairman, Jose J.
Pagilid.
You can also ask there's two
Tagilid
seats
dito.
available.
Kaya nga eh.
Maybe you can ask those that are knowledgeable as far as the
Sa pawan ko kayo dito,
to take the
Doon, maganda dun sa kabila.
pwede mo natin paupuin
Wala nang daanan.
yung ibang
Wala
mga
nang daanan.
opisyalis, direktor, SMNI. And we also just in the list for
Wala nang daanan sa kabila. Oo, pumunta ako.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to put on record that all the officers are here except the President, Mr. Chairman.
all officers are present.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, except the President, who is not feeling well, Mr. Chairman.
So may I know, sino po yung kaninang hindi na banggit ang pangalan? Pwede yung banggitin nyo yung pagpakilala po kayo. Sino po si Justice? Right.
Good afternoon, Your Honors. I'm Miss Ludivia Ayang, the Treasurer.
Treasurer. Okay. Next,
Good afternoon po. I'm Cristina San Pedro, Director of the
Board of Directors. Next,
Good afternoon, Your Honor. I'm Hannah Jane Sancho, Board Director po.
next,
Good afternoon. I'm Luis Nepomuceno, the former COMSEC of SMNI, but it was not
COMSEC.
to be here. Yes, po.
anito po yung in charge ng operations.
I'm second by Your Honor.
Kayo po yun.
Si Dr. Manuel.
So kayo po in charge ng operations. Thank you. Before we continue, are you satisfied or?
Mr. Chairman, can we ask the attorney to continue to approve the comment subject to legal?
Sir, ready?
Kanino to kayo?
Before we proceed, Mr. Chairman, may we
Yan
ask
sa kanya.
also the special deputy.
Okay, Sir Joe.
Okay, we will ask now everyone to please rise, and the COMSEC is directed to administer the oath to everyone present. Thank you.
Diba kung asan magbabayad
Kayo po kayo.
dito para hindi tumama.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth before this congressional meeting?
Sorry.
Kanino to? Sa'yo.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Before we continue, the chair recognizes the representative of the 6th District of Cavite, the Honorable Antonio Ferrer. Welcome, sir. And of course, the 2nd District of Bulacan, the Honorable Tina Pancho. Welcome. So for the first question,
Mr. Chair,
yes, the
for
Honorable
point of clarification,
yes, the Executive Majority Leader Palma.
under our agenda, House Bill number 230-1428, and the privileged speech of the Honorable Suarez, these are all interrelated. However, under House Bill number 9710, an act revoking the legislative franchise of the Suara Submedia Corporation. That's another topic that we have to tackle. Are we going to incorporate them all in one deliberations, or we go into number 1, number 2, number 3, and 4? Because I presume this has been already tackled in the previous hearings.
Yes, that is, because we have the same resource persons, no? Present. That's why we decided to also incorporate the resolution to the privilege speeches on this
100 na,
issue,
tapos.
considering that no termination of these resolutions was made. And these are all in support, or these are all the same subject matter, especially when we talk of House Bill number 97510. So we can take information from those resolutions in the previous hearings. So the main discussion really is House Bill number 9710. That's the discussion in today's hearing. And as you all know that a lot of questions has been raised and answered based on the previous resolutions that were filed, and that's why we took it upon ourselves we agreed with the COMSEC that we will still put them in the calendar so you can take reference to it and make reference to it.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Submit and just want to, that's the only clarification that I want to raise, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much, Deputy Majority Leader Palma.
Mr.
The Honorable
Mr. Chair, since it has already been clarified that we will be discussing and deliberating all the 4 items in the agenda, I believe that the proponent, Representative Gutierrez, should sponsor first House Bill 9710 para sabay na natin i-discuss yan. Because the 3 resolutions in House Bill 9710 is really related. That would be the basis, the 3 resolutions actually is the basis for House Bill 9710. So, Mr. Chair, I believe we should first sponsor the bill para masabay na natin pag-discuss.
Thank you very much, Vice Chair Pibita.
This further clarification, Mr. Chair, kasi last time kasi naputo yung aking interpellation because of the review. Anyway, it's still in support doon sa first bill resolution and also support din doon sa bill or House bill ni Representative Gutierrez.
Thank you very much.
May I have a manifestation?
Yes. Thank you very much, the Honorable Franz Castro. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Roger Gutierrez of Party List One Rider.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Silence the President.
Good afternoon to everyone. For my sponsorship speech, Mr. Chair, first and foremost, I would like to incorporate the explanatory note of House Bill 9710 because I believe it very summarily states the very issues that we have at hand. But for everyone present here today, we simply wish to reiterate that this House bill is a product of many deliberations before this committee. Nauna po yung ating mga resolutions, the big resolutions and the privilege speech that were first reference to this committee. And throughout those deliberations, we have found various transgressions by Smni, which we believe would be ground for its revocation. Although we had the resolution for suspension, personally, this representation believes that under the Constitution, the Congress has a duty now here to intervene and to actually revoke the franchise we given. If there's anything that we wish that be remembered from this deliberation here today, I hope it is this, the Constitution, the prominent portion that I will be reading. From Article 12, Section 11, the Constitution expressly states that neither shall any such franchise or right be granted except under the condition that it shall be subject to amendment, alteration, or repeal by the Congress when the common good so requires. This representation believes that the common good so does require this today. We've seen what we can categorize as 2 kinds of transgressions. The transgressions of responsibility to the public, under sections 4 and 7, which we believe is violated by the blatant red tagging, fake news, and violation of ethics standards that may have. We also have the corporate transgressions under sections 10, 11, and 12 regarding the constraints of controlling interest without prior approval, failure to report the same, failure to abide by the requirement of having public 30%, and of course, failure of the reporter requirements to the SEC under section 12. With all this together, I hope that my colleagues here today are so persuaded to pass this bill as it is urgently required. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Just for clarity, there was an additional 30-day suspension issued by MTC on 19th of December 2023, received by SMNI on December 21. A 30-day suspension that was about to last around January 20. It was reported that NTC, in spite of the order, was still operating, SMNI was still operating at Region 6 as of late December 27. NTC at an administrative hearing held January 4 also gave SMNI an extension of time to file answer to its current admin case. Instead of filing an answer, SMNI filed a motion for bill of particulars asking NTC to specify its alleged violation. NTC designed the motion of bill of particulars since previous show cause order already stated the alleged violations. Until date, the issuance of suspension, SMNI has yet to submit the answer. SMNI has all even went to the point of asking the three sitting NTC commissioners to inhibit instead of addressing the allegation. In a more current order, NTC directed SMNI to explain why it did not follow the 30-day suspension order. NTC further directed SMNI to cease and desist from operating its radio and TV stations pending the final consideration of its admin case. The question I have is, have you replied, have you answered NTC? Yes, Attorney Martin.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, we filed a reply. But of course, we admit that before we filed a reply, we filed a motion to inhibit, but unfortunately it was denied by the NTC. We also filed a motion for a bill of particulars. Again, it was denied by NTC. But once we received when we received the denial of NTC, we immediately filed an answer to Chair.
And does NTC confirm this?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
So they have filed a reply, an answer. Please go closer to the mic. You have to get the microphone.
Yes, Mr. Chair, they filed an answer on, SMNI filed an answer on January 19. It's an answer at Protelam, expanded, and they also filed a manifestation on the same date regarding the resolution of some other cases filed concerning SMNI.
So they are still suspended indefinitely from airing.
Yes,
We're still at that stage.
yes, sir.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, Attorney Martin.
we also filed a motion for reconsideration with respect to the indefinite suspension, Mr. Chairman,
Okay.
and pending now with the NTC.
Attorney Rolex.
May I add, Mr. Chairman, that we also filed an explanation on the allegation that we operated a radio station in Region 6, specifically, to be exact, a station located in Rojas City, Capiz.
And what was your explanation?
It was not operated, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
The
So,
affidavit of the technician is attached to the explanation.
so it's the word of NBC and and SMNI. Okay, thank you very much. The chair recognizes the vice chair, the Honorable John Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is still in connection with your question regarding the suspension.
Wala.
As you have said, I believe that the suspension was dated December 19, 2023,
Wala na tataas.
and it was supposedly to expire on January 20, 2024. However, we have found out, and everybody knows this, that in spite of the suspension order given by NTC to SMNI was still operating. So may I know from NTC, from the time that you issued the order, ilang araw pa sila nag-ooperate or hanggang ngayon nag-ooperate pa po ba sila? December 21 pala yung suspension order. But they were still operating. Ilang araw pa sila nag-operate?
Mr. Chair. Yes, Your Honor. Based on the submissions by our regional offices, our regional office in Region 6 indicated in the report that there was one station in Rojas, we'll have to check the...
In Region 6, I believe.
In Region 6, Mr. Chair, and it was reported that there were indications that the station of SMNI in the area is still on air. So that was the basis of our, the basis of that information, Mr. Chair.
Gaano katagal sila nag-operate since nung December 21?
The report, we received that report around December 27, Mr. Chair.
So pagdating ng December 27, nag-stop na sila pag-operate, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, around that time, it was reported that most of the stations had already been off air. But for this particular station, as reported by our region, around that time, they indicated the report that there was still a station on air in the area.
It's still operating up to this date?
We will have to confirm, Your Honor, but around that time, it was confirmed that they were still on air.
So what you plan to do, are there any sanctions for the defiance of the suspension? Because clearly, SMNI thinks that they are above the law. NTC is mandated to supervise radio stations. Yun po ang mandato ninyo eh. But in this case, in spite of the order, hindi sinunod ng SMNI. Eh, ganun man talaga ang ugali nila. They think even the radio programs, ang tingin nila, eh, sila na ang ikangang hari, no? So, are you not planning to impose sanctions on the defiance of the order?
Mr. Chair, that was also taken into account when the NTC eventually issued the CDO on 18 January. So this was taken into account by the Commission, Mr. Chair.
So in short, Mr. Chair, yung expiry na January 20, in-extend na naman ninyong suspension nila.
That is correct, Your Honor.
And this time, mayroong bang prescription period? Is there a timeline? Or is this indefinitely suspended?
It's a, we issued the CDO, Mr. Chair, and the duration of that is pending hearing and final consideration of the admin case that is now that's now before the commission. So that's the duration of the CDO.
So it's open-ended. Walang nakalagay doon ng date. Until such time that the yung case will be resolved. Hindi po ba?
Correct, Mr. Chair.
So ano na yung status ng nung case nila?
Mr. Chair, the SMNI already filed their answer, and the NTC is now reviewing their submissions. So that is the At the moment, that is the status of the case, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, as of this time, have you verified all over the regions, wala na talagang nag-ooperate?
Based on latest submissions, Mr. Chair, that is the information that we have.
Can we file a case against SMNI regarding the defiance of the suspension order, Mr. Chair? As far as your mandate is concerned, hindi dito sa Kongreso, kundi ang sa mandato ninyo. If an airing or a defiant TV station does not follow your orders, ano ba ang nakalagay sa mandato ninyo? Is there a need to file a case against them? Or this could be one of the factors that could lead to the revocation of the franchise? Ano ba ang nakalagay doon sa mandato ninyo?
The STC can take cognizance of that, Mr. Chair, but I believe that in this particular case, we can take that into account, incorporating already in this administrative case that we already have, Mr. Chair.
During the previous hearings, Mr. Chair, we've also found out there were other cases that were filed against SMNI, hindi po ba?
Malaki ito. Bigat.
Yes, Your Honor.
So as of this moment, ilan po ang kaso ng SMNI na nakafile sa NTC?
There is one case, there's a complaint filed against SMNI under administrative case 2020-207.
And what is the nature of this case, Mr. Chair? This case, rather?
It's a complaint filed by, it's complaint on Empeño Kadapan Palabay on regarding the interview conducted and also on the allegations about the Vice President, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so let me proceed, Mr. Chair. During the previous hearings, as I said, the 4 items in this agenda is interrelated, no? Well, anyway, I might sound redundant, but I would just like to refresh, and for the evaluation of this committee, that this committee was able to establish the violations of SMNI, which I certainly believe is a ground for the revocation of their franchise. We already discussed thoroughly one of their violations is violation of Section 4 of Republic Act 11422, and that was the responsibility to the public, which in fact, kaya nagkaroon ng hearing dito dahil pinalabas silang fake news about the travel allowance. And even the resource persons then admitted na hindi clear yung source sila, and they admitted that nasunog sila, that in journalist parlance, they were burned of the fake news that relate to them, but pinalabas pa rin nila sa programa na yun. So clearly, this is in violation of Section 4. Now, we were also able to establish, Mr. Chair, so that the members will be refreshed. They have also violated Section number 10 of Republic Act 11422, sale, lease, transfer, grant, or use of right or assignment of franchise. Na ibigay po natin, na ipahayal po natin dito, there was a change of ownership, which was not reported to this committee. It is very clear in your franchise that any change of ownership must be reported within 60 days to this committee, of which SMNI did not do. So clearly, and then on the third violation, the dispersal of ownership. Na with this section, SMNI is mandated to disperse the ownership 30% to Filipinos, no? Ilang taon na sila nag-operate? I think more than 25 years, pero hanggang ngayon, hindi pa rin nila ginagawa. And of course, Section 12, which is the reportorial requirement. Mr. Chair, sa dami ho ng mga ika ng violations na ginawa ng SMNI, I believe that this committee should study and, well, this is my personal opinion, based on the facts, based on the previous hearings, that indeed it is very clear that SMNI violated sections, not only one but 4 sections of their franchise, and they should be made answerable to that. As I've said clearly before, that the franchise given to any entity is not a right but a privilege. It is very clear in the Constitution, Congress has the power to grant, to repeal, or revoke, or amend. And in this case, nakikita ko po talaga sa dami ng nagrabyado. In fact, I will not delve into anymore. Meron pa nga nagpadala sa akin ngayon, ang daming mga personal attacks
Anong ano sa'yo?
against the
Di ba sa
members of the
ICTS?
committee, including the chairman. We're not taking this personally sa inyo, itong pag-hearing natin, but it is very clear naman po talaga na meron po kayong violation. So, Mr. Chair, I still have that position that this committee should really consider the revocation of the franchise of the MSNI. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Vice Chair Pimentel. Next is
Kumbaga, nag-relate sila.
Yes, in line with the line of question of the Congressman Pimentel, with regards to the violation and the case now with NTC, can we direct the NTC in the Chairman to submit all those pertinent documents with regard to the case and the communication between the Senate and NTC? Para po, makita namin, then that might be the basis for each and everyone.
Ano, pwede? Hindi.
For the decision with regards to
Tingnan pa daw doon.
the revocation or not of the franchise of the Senate. Kindly submit po na committee. Lahat po na communication,
NTC.
Yes, Mr.
And
Chair.
the request of the Honorable Paduano is that all documents pertaining to this particular case, their appeals, their reply, their suspension orders from 30 days to indefinite, and the basis of that should be given to the committee.
last one point. NTC, yung airing ba doon sa Region 6, in which you issue a cease and desist order, do you have really the proof?
Mr. Chair, the basis of this was the report submitted by our regions.
And what is the content of that report and the facts with regard to that report? Kasi pwede pong mag-report yung tao nyo doon, pero baka wala rin kayong hawak na proof.
They submitted, the report included photos of may mga photo po of the programs being monitored at that time when it was monitored, and that was the basis of this. That was submitted to the central office, Mr. Chair, and that was taken into account by the NTC when we collated all the reports from the region, Mr. Chair.
Chairman, please submit also that report coming from your regional office to this committee. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Paduano. Before we proceed, the Chair.
Siyan.
Before we proceed, the Chair would like to recognize Senior Deputy Speaker from the 3rd District of Pampanga, the Honorable Aurelio Gonzalez. Welcome, sir. And of course, from the 1st District of Northern Samar, the Honorable Paul Luis Daza. Welcome.
StreamYard daw.
Another interjection. As regards to the as regards to the point representative team.
Na ako ng Facebook.
Yes,
Yeah, Mr. Chair, kasi sa monitoring natin, so when the NTC already filed or at least, yung suspension. So, na-monitor pa natin, Mr. Chair, doon sa studio ng SMNI, doon sa Makati City, ay nag-broadcast pa, no? At nakita natin 3 weeks ago, Mr. Chair, at nandoon. So, na-monitor ba yan ng SMNI sa Makati Studio ng SMNI?
The studio operations, ma'am, is iba po from the transmitter, the transmission side. So, ang ano po namin is the transmission where the signals emanate.
So, yun.
Very much, the Honorable Franz Castro. The Chair recognizes the Honorable Aline D. Broses. Welcome to the Committee of Gabriela Parties. Thank you po sa inyong pagdating. The next interpreter, mapalis na lang po yung mga gusto mo sa the Honorable you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, iban sa franchise ng SMNI, meron pa rin siyang iba't ibang mga platforms kung saan siya nag-ooperate. Mr. Chair, we'd like to confirm sa SMNI, halimbawa, diba, nasa Twitter or na-call X ang SMNI, ang account ay at SMNI News, then SMNI confirm.
Yes po, we are operating online.
Yes, Mr. Chair, sa YouTube, nandiyan pa rin ang SMNI at Sunshine Media, kaya SMNI confirm.
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, meron din po sila website, smninewschannel.com.
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Sa TikTok din, Mr. Chair, at SMNI News.
Yes po.
Meron din po sa WeTV at SMNI News.
Not so familiar with Mr. Chair, but we are operating online on different platforms.
Kasi Mr. Chair, sa mga online materials na SMNI, sa mga social media accounts, nandiyan din po yung app na WeTV. So, if hindi po familiar ang officers, ako na lang po mag-inform sa kanila that they are on WeTV. Mr. Chair, sa Rumble, may ganito din pong app. rumble.com/user/SMNI News.
Rumble, yes po.
Okay. And Mr. Chair, sa Facebook, ano po ang account ngayon ng SMNI sa Facebook?
It is by program po, kung anong title ng program, since unfortunately, every time po meron kaming Facebook page ay nawawala po siya bigla.
So, marami po iba-iba based sa program ang Facebook
By
accounts.
programs po.
How about sa Instagram?
Same po, Mr. Chair, by programs.
Okay. Mr. Chair, may gusto lang po tayong i-flash na slides dahil po maliban sa pag-operate ng SMNI sa ganitong mga accounts, dati pa nung meron siyang YouTube account bago po ito na take down, ay ito po ang na-monitor nating bilang ng mga red tagging and misinformation na videos ng SMNI. Sa period po ng 2 months, nung nakapag-compile po tayo, ay ganun po kadami, more than 288 ang mga videos na yan. And on average po, Mr. Chair, that would be 5 videos a day. Wherein SMNI programs ay nag-mention ng alleged links daw ng mga youth organizations and even people's organizations as fronts di umano ng mga rebel groups. Mr. Chair, uploaded po yan sa SMNI YouTube page. Yung dati po nilang page, before it was taken down dahil nga sa kaso kay Apollo Kibuloy, yung child trafficking and sexual assault cases niya sa United States. Mr. Chair, I'd like to ask KBP, kung meron po bang ibang media entity na naireklamo sa kanila dahil sa ganun karampant na red tagging na ginagawa. Aside po sa SMNI, may iba po bang ganung media outlets? na idinulog or nireport sa inyo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. In answer to the question, there is no other broadcast entity that has been complained of for red tagging.
Mr. Chair, hearing that, ibig sabihin hindi po normal among media entities ang ginagawang red tagging. At ito po ay distinct sa SMNI. Maliban sa hindi siya nagko-conform sa journalistic standards that is set by the KBP, meron po talaga siyang focus doon sa red tagging na nakita nating bahagi talaga ng policy ng entity na ito. Mr. Chair, I'd like to present the next slide regarding the partnership of SMNI with the AFP naman. Ito po ay sa website mismo ng SMNI sa ayan, sa about na section ng kanilang website. Nabanggit Mr. Chair ang collaboration with the AFP. I would like to ask SMNI, ano po ba sa kaya ng extent ng collaboration na ginagawa ng SMNI with the AFP?
Try ko yung mic. Okay.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Hindi, abot yung akin.
Ang agreement po na yan between SMNI and the Philippine Army po ay nag-umpisa dahil po sa lagi nilang guessing sa laban kasama ang bayan. Yung pong programa ng SMNI that is inilaan po para po sa pagtulong sa ating mga kasandaluhan at dito po sa Pilipinas sa pag-super po ng mga National People's Army dito po sa ating bayan.
Mr. Chair, meron po bang written na memorandum of agreement ang SMNI with the AFP para sa ganong collaboration?
Ang collaboration po na nangyayari po, ang nangyayari po dyan ay sila po ang nagbibigay sa amin ng mga information, mga news po sa na nangyayari.
Mr. Chair, I was asking po kung merong specific na kasulatan in the form of a memorandum of agreement.
Para mag-promote.
Subscription?
The Honorable Lawrence Suplico. I'm sorry. Attorney Lawrence Suplico.
I have here, Your Honor, a copy of the memorandum of partnership signed by SMNI and SMNI.
Mr. Chair, we would like to request
Maybe you have
SMNI
a
to
copy of
confirm.
that immediately. We
Yes.
ask the page to please get a copy. Please give a copy to the COMSEC.
And to the members of the committee, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Mr. Chair, in practice, ano po ang itsura ng ganong collaboration? So in terms of content, paano po yun nangyayari? Pag may binibigay na information ng AFP, automatic din na ipapublish yun ng SMNI. Ano ang actual na pag-implement ng ganong collaboration?
Ang pagiging forward po, pagbibigay po ng materyales galing sa amin mula sa AFP dahil ang Armed Forces po ay isang institusyon ng ating gobyerno na ating pinapaniwalaan. Of course po, ang galing sa kanila ng mga information ay verified information at amin po itong ginagamit sa programa po.
Okay. Mr. Chair, maliban sa tinatanggap nila ang information mula sa Armed Forces, meron din ba silang paraan para ma-verify ang kanilang nakukuha, may it be independent sources or mga tao sa komunidad? Ano ang ginagawa to verify what you obtain?
Katulad po ng mga information na galing sa PNP, ang galing po sa AFP na information ay considered po namin as verified information.
So with that, Mr. Chair, galing po sa SMNI, pag natanggap po nila, di na nila bine-verify. Kinukuha na po nila yun na yung tingin nila ay always totoo, regardless no kung ano ba talaga ang nilalaman noon, tapos pinapublish na nila. Mr. Chair, we ask that dahil
Loud and
sa
clear po
sheer
ba guys?
volume
Loud and
of,
clear? Like. Salamat.
Actually, parang pinaparot na rin po nila kung ano halimbawa ang sinasabi ng National Task Force LCAC since the time of former President Rodrigo Duterte. Kaya parang hindi na
Loud and clear po bang audio natin? Loud and clear?
Parang outfit ang SMNI. Naging parang propaganda arm na po siya ng NTF-LCAC. Mr. Chair, ang next slide po, this is less about red tagging. This is more of fake news po talaga. Mr. Chair,
Thank you, Ma'am
pinalabas
Sheila.
po yan ng SMNI sa kanilang program, Laban Kasama ang Bayan sa YouTube. And if I may read the headline, Mr. Chair, Raul Manuel nilaglag na ng dating kadre at di na tanggap sa pamilya. Mr. Chair, to confirm lang, no, straight from them, di ba program ng SMNI ang Laban Kasama ang Bayan?
Yes po, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, anchor po nila si Jeffrey Celis, tama po ba?
Yes po.
Mr. Chair, sa mga officers po ng SMNI, alam ba nila na may ganitong nilabas ang SMNI?
Ang mga content po ng Laban Kasama ang Bayan na iyan po ay lumalabas sa SMNI, alam po namin.
Okay, so ibig sabihin, Mr. Chair, they are vouching iyang fake news na nilabas nila tungkol sa representasyon na ito, na hindi daw po ako tanggap na aking pamilya sa mga advokasy ang aking ginagawa. Mr. Chair, next slide please. Halata po talaga kitang-kita po ng taong bayan na hindi lang red tagging ang ginagawa, pero mismo pag-iimbento ng mga kwento ang ginagawa ng SMNI. Mr. Chair, I am proud of my family. Nagpapasalamat po ako sa kanila sa support ang binibigay nila sa ginagawa po natin. In fact po, sila nangampanya pa nga para sa akin. Yan po ay mama ko, lola ko, tapos pamilya po ng papa ko sa Zamboanga City. Yung picture po sa right side campaign materials, sila po nagpagawa using their own money. Hindi pa po galing yon sa akin o sa National Office Funds ng Kabataan Party List. So Mr. Chair, clear as day yung ginagawa ng SMNI na actually hindi lang ito personal na issue ko. Pero Mr. Chair, if they can do that to me, paano po yung mga kabataan, paano yung mga ordinaryong kababayan natin na walang posisyon, na madaling gawan lang din ng kwento ng SMNI. And Mr. Chair, given how the online world works today, ang sabi po ng maraming studies, yung kasinungalingan, it spreads 6 times faster than facts. So Mr. Chair, may pattern na parang ginagawa to ng SMNI para saan? For the clout lang, para tumaas lalo yung mileage nila online. Na Mr. Chair, hindi po talaga katanggap-tanggap na ginagawa nila ito. Next slide po, Mr. Chair. Balik po tayo sa usapin ng red tagging. I will play this video posted on January 9, wherein Mr. Celis said something new about House Speaker Martin Romualdez. Kindly play the video.
Patay kayo dyan. Nako po.
Pangingialam at abuso sa poder ng kanyang pinsan na kasabwat ngayon ng CPP, NP, NDF from Congress is
Ayan na guys, yung paninira kay speaker, ayan, inungkat. So ipi-play po yung video. So inaayos lang po yung audio nila.
Sige po. Kung inaayos pa po yung audio, I can show actually the transcript of what was said by Mr. Jeffrey Celis, again on SMNI. So ayan po, ang nasa video po kanina, yung exact na transcript, ito po ang nasa screen natin ngayon. Na ang sinabi ni Mr. Jeffrey Celis, after na na-contempt na po siya dito sa House, he is actually red tagging the House Speaker. Now, Mr. Chair, alam po ba ito ng officers ng SMNI? Na may ganitong sinabi si Mr. Jeffrey Celis.
The record speaks for itself. Very po sa SMNI.
No, Mr. Chair,
Mr. Chair.
Lapid Junior. Salamat po. Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Chair, I'm
Can we
asking
ask
the officer,
lady?
yeah.
Can we ask the officer first? Ma'am.
The record speaks for itself. Naeri po yan sa SMNI, Your Honor.
Mr. Chair, I'm asking sa level po ng officers ng SMNI kasi nga dapat responsable sila sa ano ang nilalabas, ano ang sinasabi ng kanilang mga anchor. Kaya Mr. Chair, I'm directing the question sa officers. Are they aware na may ganito sinabi si Jeffrey Celis?
Personally po, hindi po ako ganun ka-aware dahil hindi po kami supposed to be nanonood ng TV 24 hours kung yan po ay nasabi sa Laban Kasama ang Bayan, but hindi po namin may deny that it was said on Laban Kasama ang Bayan.
Mr. Chair, how about the other officers present today? Are they aware na may ganito pong nilabas? Na may ganito sinabi si Jeffrey Celis? The other board of director?
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair. Hana po. Kung ano po yung nakalagay at sinabi po niya, ni Jeffrey Eric Celis po, yun po ang sinabi po niya sa show po niya. And if I'm aware, during this period na na-air po ito, I wasn't watching the show po.
Mr. Chair, how about the other remaining officers, yung Treasurer and Corporate Secretary?
Yes, good afternoon po, Your Honors. Personally po, hindi ko po yan napanood sa social media.
Thank you.
And the Corporate Secretary?
Corporate Secretary.
Nakaharang ka, kilala ka. May nakaharang si Mami.
Hindi rin po ako aware at that time po. Kasi yung
Kilala ka.
Mr. Chair, ano po ang pinapakita nito sa ngayon? Ang officers mismo na SMNI, they are not being responsible
Opo, si
sa
Mami
anong
Peng po.
sinasabi ng mga anchor nila. And Mr. Chair, hindi nga po ito yung first time na may ganitong sinasabi. In fact, nung na-contempt po si Mr. Jeffrey Celis, sabi niya he regrets his actions for spreading misinformation. And now, Mr. Chair, may ganito na naman ulit regarding the House Speaker himself. Mr. Speaker, nahalo ko na. Kasi hindi ko lang matanggap, Mr. Chair, na parang wala na pong pinipili ang SMNI. Parang kahit sino na lang na tingin nila ay hindi aligned sa kanilang views ay kalaban na ng bayan at dapat nang i-red tag, Mr. Chair. Last na lang, Mr. Chair.
Can I be recognized, Mr. Chair?
I'm done with that topic, Mr. Chair. So, let's proceed to the next slide. Ang next po ay tungkol naman sa pagbisita ng representative mismo ng UN Special Rapporteur, na nung naglabas ng findings na syempre would be agreeable to some and would be objected by others, then mismo ang UN Special Rapporteur ay nired tag na naman. Hindi lang po ng dalawang anchor nila, pero next slide please, maging ng isa din sa mga lumabas sa SMNI mismo. And Mr. Chair, very clear po yung sinabi. Ang sabi po dyan sa UN Rapporteur, you are a rapporteur for terrorist group. Tanong po ulit sa officers, Mr. Chair, do you find anything wrong with this statement on your platform?
Yes.
Mr. Chair, I'm asking the officers po. So that would be yung director, yung dalawa pong director.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Officers.
Sa mga programs po namin, like like this program of Puso ng Bayan, we are very vocal po ang mga anchors po namin. Nasa kanila po ang karapatan na magsalita kung anong gusto nila sabihin bilang komentarista po. They are commenting on an issue po.
So okay lang, you don't find anything wrong, okay lang.
Kung yan po ang nakikita po nila, then yun po yung komento po nila, opinion po nila.
Okay, how about the other director, Mr. Chair?
Yes. Please.
Yes, sir. Sa pananaw ko po, ito po ay isang freedom of expression lamang niya or freedom of opinion niya po yun at ito po ay pinahihintulutan po sa SMNI.
Yes. How about Ms. Christina, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, same po, hindi po namin binubusalan ang mga anchors namin sa SMNI.
Okay, and the Corporate Secretary, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Chair, the same din po.
So, Mr. Chair, they are vouching, they are backing what was said by this person sa SMNI. Mr. Chair, ano po ang pwedeng implication kung haya natin ang ganito mga statements that the UN rapporteur is a rapporteur for terrorist group? Ibig sabihin po nun, Mr. Chair, yung mga kinakausap, yung mga na-meet ng US Special Rapporteur are cooperating or are working with a terrorist group. Mr. Chair, marami pong kinita ang US Special Rapporteur nung bumisita siya for 1 week sa Pilipinas. And next slide please. Mr. Chair, ang dami pati opisyal ng gobyerno. So Mr. Chair, are we saying that members of the House and the members of the court who met with the US Special Rapporteur are cooperating with some terrorist group? Mr. Chair, ganito po kalala ang epekto kapag hinahayaan natin ang SMNI. So, for me to wrap up, Mr. Chair, lumalabas po na modus operandi ng SMNI na media daw sila pero lahat ng nagsasalita, contrary to some of their views, ay nire-red tag na po. Kaya, imbes na mag-ayos sila, we don't see any remorse. At hanggang po ngayon, mula naman sa bibig po nila, tingin nila okay pa rin yung mga ginagawa talaga ng mga anchor at mga guest po nila. Mabigat na trabaho para sa media ang mag-fact check, mag-verify ng mga claims. Something that SMNI deliberately does not want to do. Kasi gusto po niya magpakalat ng sarili niyang mga narratives to suit its agenda. Kaya, Mr. Chair, tingin ko hindi natin malalagay on the same plane ang SMNI sa ibang mga media organizations. I consider it an insult to other media organizations na nagpapatulong pa ngayong SMNI. I-defend daw ang kanilang freedom when in fact, Mr. Chair, they have been abusing that freedom at inaapakan na po ang mga ordinaryong kababayan. Kawawa nga rin po ang mga viewers nila kasi as we have seen, ang mga viewers po na naabot ng SMNI, hindi na po ma-discern kung ano po yung tama at hindi sa kanilang mga nilalabas. Kaya to end, Mr. Chair, maliban sa kanilang franchise, I would even hope that this committee and my colleagues would recommend to the appropriate House Committee na imbestigahan din ang lahat ng mga ginagawa ng SMNI sa iba pa niyang platforms and accounts, hindi lang sa kanyang franchise. Kasi kita po natin, lahat po kung saan nandyan ang SMNI, may kumakalat talaga na red tagging, may kumakalat na fake news. Yun lang, Mr. Chair. Salamat.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Manuel. The Chair recognizes the next interpreter, the Honorable Franz Castro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So pagpapatuloy lang, no, Mr. Chair, nung aking tanong po kanina, kasi binanggit naman ni Representative Raul Manuel, yung mga iba't ibang mga platform, bukod po doon sa kanilang, doon sa kanilang franchise, no, na tinitignan natin ngayon, talagang, sa lahat ng platform, talagang kumakalat siya. Katulad ng ngayon, no, yung mga red tagging, yung mga misinformation, ay talagang pinagpapatuloy pa rin. At narinig naman natin, no, inaamin talaga ng, ng mga board of directors and officers na talagang inaalaw nila, di ba? Okay, kahit na walang betting or yung mga opinion or nakikita natin dyan na talagang lantaran na misinformation, red tagging, or kahit na opinion na ito, no, napatunayan naman natin kahit na yung special rapporteur, nire-red tag pa rin. Ginagawa nilang rapporteur daw ng communist terrorist or terorista. Mr. Chair, may papakita lang ako, no, na isa rin sa false information, kasiraan sa akin, para magpatunay pa rin na yung ginagamit ng SMNI, yung kanilang franchise, no, doon sa yung violation nila dun sa Section 4. Particularly, kung ito po babasahin nun, responsibility to the public for the dissemination of deliberately false information or willful misrepresentation. Okay? So, sa isang programa po, Mr. Chair, ng isang episode po ng Laban Kasama ng Bayan noong 2022, nagpakalat po ng malisyoso, maling balita, disinformation, sina Badoy, Celis, at ang SMNI bilang ito ay kanilang mga talent na binabayaran nila ng 100,000 per month, no? Itong si Badoy at si Celis. So, I bet alam talaga ng SMNI lahat ng mga
content at sinasabi, no? At walang ano yan, walang pakialam sa verification or kung tama o mali. Yung pinapakalat na paninira at misinformation or disinformation. Okay? Gumamit pa ako noon ng mga whistleblower. At ito po, Mr. Chair, papakita ko po, Mr. Chair, yung video na hindi natin na ituloy nung last meeting natin, Mr. Chair. Part lang yan nung nung disinformation.
Nako po. Please like, please like. May 3 dots sa upper right. Tapos, makikita niyo po yung like. I-like niyo po, guys. Salamat.
Paano po makakatulong sa ating gobyerno ay willing po makipagtulungan po sa state ang mga organization na nabanggit ko po. At kami po ay mag-uusap-usap at nagpaplano po. At kagandahan po nito ang ating pong Vice President ay siya rin pong Secretary ng Kagawaran ng Edukasyon. At sana po naririnig po ito ni Vice President Sara Duterte, ito pong mga panawagan po ng mga kaguruan na nagtataka po kami kung saan po napupunta o para po ba saan talagang benepisyo ang tinitikak na 20 pesos or 50 pesos sa aming mga kaguruan. Tuwing po na ina-agitate nila ang mga kaguruan para nga raw po tumaas ang ating sahod, pero bakit po sila nagmamandatory deduction at saan po ito napupunta? Ano po bang mga benefits or mga naitulong na sa hanin ng kaguruan dito sa mga naibabawas po sa amin?
Ayun, Ma'am Lorraine. Before ko ipasa kay Ma'am Lorraine, kay Brother Franco, brief ito, Ma'am Lorraine. Galing ito sa televiewers, kina Karamon, ka Eric, kung pundong pampubliko yan, kahit trust fund type pa yan, dahil yun yung just
At NCR lang po. Code at NCR. Yun lang po. Wala na po dito na
Ma'am, yes, Ma'am Lorraine, ha?
Yes. So, official payslip yan. Nasa payslip na automatically. How did this happen, ma'am? Paano nangyari ito? Bakit nakasingit ito mga demonyong Alliance of Communist Teachers? Minsan po kasi ang mga teachers, yung mga pinapipima kasi noon.
Kinakawawa pa nitong Alliance of Communist Teachers or ACT.
Sa mukha na lang ni Franz Casper, hindi mo talaga mapagkakatiwalaan eh. So, pakita niya nga yung mugshot. Bagay na bagay ang mugshot talaga. Talagang tulisan talaga to si Franz Castro.
Patay. Diyan na. Yari.
Okay. So basically, Mr. Chair, pinag-usapan dyan sa programa. Nakita nyo naman yung mga comment, no? Talagang nakakatawa, no? At malayo-malayo yan sa katotohanan. Hindi ba pagkatiwalaan at tulisan daw ako. Anyway, gusto ko lang ipakita dyan, Mr. Chair, na sinasabi dyan na nangungulekta daw ako ng 20 pesos. At narinig nyo naman po, sabi nung Celis, kung pondong pampubliko yan, kahit trust fund pa yan, dahil union dues daw, it is still a public fund. Pwedeng managot si Franz Castro at ang act sa plunder. But ito yung sinasabi nila, Mr. Chair, na union dues. So 2012 pa po ako nag-retire from the service. At ito mga pinag-uusapan nila ay pagungolekta daw ng union dues. At matagal na rin akong wala doon sa union ng Alliance of Concerned Teachers ng Quezon City, no, ng Quezon City Public School Teachers. Kaya pinag-uusapan dyan, saan daw napupunta, saan ko daw nilalagay yung pondo na kinokolekta daw ng union dues. So, alam ba ng board ng SMNI, Mr. Chair, itong ganitong episode? So, nagkaroon ba kayo po ng verification tungkol doon sa mga information na pinalabas po dito sa episode na ito ng SMNI? Kay Ma'am San Pedro po.
Yes po. Mr. Chair, yan pong lahat ay dumadaan po sa production team hanggang sa desk po ng SMNI.
Okay, so nakita niyo yung mga information na nandiyan. So kinausap niyo lang po dyan sa programa na yan ay yung sinasabi nilang whistleblower daw. Hindi ko nga kilala yung isa doon. Alam ko yung isa doon, yung teacher na nagsasabi na nasa payslip daw yung 20 pero hindi naman nasasabi na kinolekta ko yun or napupunta sa akin po yun.
So wala po kayong pagbibet, no? Hindi man lang po kayo nagtanong or di ba man lang nag-verify ang inyong team, yung inyong team kaugnay doon sa sinasabi pong information. Ma'am San Pedro, Mr. Chair.
Yes po. Yes, Mr. Chair. Madam Congressman, naririnig ko po sa programa ng Laban Kasama ang Bayan over and over na kayo po ay iniimbita sa kanilang programa. At ngayon po, I would also like to extend this invitation to you na umattend po at ibigay po ang inyong side, magpa-interview po sa Laban Kasama ang Bayan.
Well, that is 2022 pa, no? So wala akong natatanggap na formal invitation about that kasi mga network dito, kahit nga text, kapag talagang valid yung kanilang mga gustong itanong sa akin at di ba? At nagpapaunlak ako kahit na madaling araw yan. Pero wala akong message from the SMNI. Anyway, Mr. Chair, gusto ko lang malinis o malinawan sa ating mga kababayan, lalong-lalo na dun sa mga teachers Baka sabihin, talagang kinokolekta ko yung mga perang yan sa union dues. Meron po akong, actually pinatakbo ko pa dito, Mr. Chair, para makita po talaga ng taong bayan. At maano rin ng SMNI, ano bang ibig sabihin nitong 20 pesos na union dues? At ako, hindi po ako member ng union, bagamat ako yung founding chairman ng ACT-NCR Union noong 2011. So bago po nagkaroon ng mga collection ng mga union dues yan, tapos na ako noon, 2013 pa yata yan o 2014. So andito po, Mr. Chair, kung papayagan niyo po, isa o dalawang tanong lang po kay Sir Romel Tarala, Faculty Club President ng Justice Cecilia Muñoz Palma High School, QCPSTA, isa sa mga member ng QCPSTA and officer ng ACT-NCR Union din. So matanong ko na lang, Mr. Chair, kasi itong union dues na ito, na 20 pesos daw na kinokolekta every month, talagang meron naman yan, di ba? Tama ba, Sir Romel?
Yes po. Good afternoon po sa ating lahat.
Address your answer to our chair.
Mr. Chair and ladies and gentlemen. I'm the faculty president of Justice Palma Secondary High School in Quezon City. We are all aware of the monthly dues. It's automatically deducted in our payslip, but it's divided into 4, no?
Saan napupunta
Yung 5
itong 20
pesos is for the faculty club, and we are benefiting from that, no? Talagang ginagamit namin siya in all the faculty clubs, no, of Quezon City or NCR are receiving. And yung 5 pesos goes to the division office, 5 pesos goes to the ACT-NCR Union, and 5 pesos goes to ACT Philippines or ACT National.
Yes. So yun po yung division ng distribution ng 20 pesos. At ako ba ay nangongolekta? I mean, ako ba ay pinadadalhan ninyo ng something like doon portion ng 20 pesos nyo?
Ayan, no.
Ang office ba ng ACT Teachers
Hindi
Party
po,
List?
ma'am. No, we are all aware, no. The QCPS leaders and ACT-NCR leaders are very much aware, no, that itong monthly dues na ito, no, itong union dues, no, are being utilized, no, in different teachers welfare naman, at kitang-kita naman ito ng mga faculty club officers and union members.
Yes, so yung po officer po yan ng QCPSTA at magpapatunay po yan na wala akong hand doon sa anumang mga kinokolektang union dues. Okay? Nakatulad, contrary to doon sa sinasabi nilang whistleblower daw o yung yung isang teacher doon. At meron pa sana akong imbitahan, Mr. Chair, di lang nakarating, yung disbursement officer po ng ACT-NCR Union. Kasi yung ACT-NCR Union, dahil automatically deducted po yan sa payroll ng mga teachers, so yan po yung nagbibigay doon sa treasurer ng ACT-NCR. So no way na magkakaroon po tayo dyan ng any contribution for myself or for the party list for that matter. So yan po yung isa rin sa paninira, Mr. Chair, na talagang malaki rin yung magiging epekto niyan, sinasabi natin dito, mapaminsalang disinformasyon nga na hanggang ngayon, Mr. Chair, ito nag-check kami, hanggang ngayon ginagamit pa yan ng mga troll, yung mga ganitong mga maling information na talagang deliberately na ginagawa nitong programang ito, ay talagang malaki yung ano niyan, malaki yung nagagawa niyan dahil ginagamit siya ng mga trolls. Kung nagpapatuloy yan, Mr. Chair, talagang ang public natin niloloko at dinidisinform ng SMNI. Kaya talagang kaya talagang kung ako rin puro siguro tatanungin, Mr. Chair, isa rin yan sa batayan kung bakit dapat nating at hindi dapat maikumpara ang style na ginagawa ng SMNI sa style ng mga legitimate na mga network na talagang nagbibet muna ng eto mga walang patumangga ito na sinasabi wala man lang pasubali yung kanilang mga pagsasalita, dire-diretso talaga na paninira. Sana man lang merong daw or whatever, pero ito diretso talaga ng pagbibigay sa atin ng disinformation. So, yun lang po, Mr. Chair, para pandagdag lang po doon sa sinasabi natin na part talaga yung SMNI o pinapayagan talaga ng SMNI yung mga ganitong mga disinformation. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Franz Castro. The Honorable Arlene Rosas is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, kanina I would like to be parang clarified kasi parang sinasabi kanina na apart from the franchise na meron ang SMNI, supposedly, yung mga platforms ay hindi covered nito. Tama po ba, Mr. Chair? So, ibig sabihin, walang pag-limit dun sa paggamit, halimbawa ng Facebook, nung mga sinasabi kanina, yung the following. So, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask yung NTC, meron ba kayong power para ito ay hindi kumalat, Mr. Chair? Kasi parang, apparently, pinag-uusapan natin dito, sinuspend na, lahat na ginawa, pero ano yung ginagawa ngayon ng NTC with regards to this? Kasi parang ilang violations to, if ever, di ba? Dahil sinabi nga natin na hindi na dapat mag-ere at hindi na dapat lumabas itong mga misinformation, disinformation na nagaganap.
NTC, please reply to the query of the Honorable Arlene Rosas.
Mr. Chair, yung coverage po that the NTC issued covers the free-to-air operation of of Suarasug. So ito po yung mga signals that are coming from over the air. However, the content that are being shown online is not covered by that because it's not within, hindi na po part ng franchise nila of the operations concomitant to the franchise, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Chair. No, kanina naman clearly sinabi na may mga violations. Tama ba, NTC? May violations ang SMNI, Mr. Chair? Ano ang mga specific violations na after the cease and desist order, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
The NTC, the Honorable Rosas is addressing.
Because, Mr. Chair, there is a pending case with NTC. If the NTC will answer that, it will jeopardize NTC with respect to the constitutional principle of impartial court, Mr. Chair. If they will answer is whether or not there's violation on the part of SMNI, when in fact there's pending case with SMNI and submitted for decision, Mr. Chair.
Do you agree with the position raised by the Attorney Tolentino?
Mr. Chair, Your Honor, we would like to reserve comment on that one as this is actually the issue. This is also part of the issue that part of the administrative case.
Yes, but you know, that's a question raised by a member of the committee, and the it is your duty to reply to the and not hide under the rule just because they have a pending question before you, the NTC. It doesn't stop you from answering the question of the committee.
Yes, Your Honor, we
So please,
recognize
please
that.
reply.
Uh,
Thank you.
If we may be allowed to reply
Yes, please.
at a later time on that one, Your Honor, as we but we will comply with, we will reply to the query, Mr. Chair.
The Honorable Process.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, yung NEC kasi, they noted, they received reports, no, na showing that respondent SMNI did not strictly comply with the suspension aspect and was still operating in certain areas in Region 6 by as late as December 27, 2023, despite the 30-day suspension order issued by the NTC. Ngayon, maliban sa Region 6, meron pa bang report sa tanggap? Yun sana yung tatanungin ko, pero ayaw, baka hindi sasagutin ng NTC, no? Na nag-ooperate ng SMNI sa ibang lugar. Now, Mr. Chair, it seems like the SMNI has not taken seriously the suspension order of the NTC and its violations of several provisions of its franchise that were unveiled, no, nung na-discuss during the hearings dito sa House of Representatives, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, in reply to the query of the Honorable Arlene Brosas, based on the reports from the region, and Region 6 reported, it was Region 6 only that region reported on the continued operation. That is correct, Mr. Chair, Your Honor.
Thank you,
Sila
Mr.
po yung
Chair.
nag-submit ng
Oo.
report on that one. Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chair, ngayon naman gusto kong maliwanagan doon sa kung pwede bang merong gawing aksyon ng NTC, no? Kaugnay dito sa mga platforms na ito, halimbawa sa social media accounts, yung binabanggit kanina, kasi ang active pa ngayon yung Facebook, SMNI, gikan sa masa para sa masa Pulso ng Bayan News Plus. Sa YouTube, laban kasama ang Bayan Sunshine Media, DZAR 1026. Tapos yung TikTok, SMNI News Pulso ng Bayan News Plus. May magagawa ba ang NTC dito, Mr. Chair?
Proceed. Please answer.
If we may be allowed to explain a little,
Please.
Mr. Chair. Like what we mentioned earlier, the order issued by the NTC principally covers the privileges granted under the franchise of SMNI. And this includes the provisioning of free-to-air broadcast services, radio and television. Insofar as the other platforms like social media, we would like to inform that these are basically not within the realm of the operations of the franchise, Mr. Chair. So we are at this time limited only to the scope of what the franchise and the authorities granted as a result of the franchise is covered, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, kung ganun yung mga lumalabas, puro red tagging, fake news, etc. dito sa mga following platforms na ito, Mr. Chair, hindi ba dapat ay i-address din natin itong usapin na ito, Mr. Chair? Hindi ba dapat i-suspend din natin yung operations, no, ng may mga record ng red tagging? And sino-sino, Mr. Chair, gusto nating malaman, sino-sino ba yung mga managers ng accounts na ito? Saka ano yung guidelines, social media posting ng SMNI sa program na ito, Mr. Chair?
Yes, okay. Okay, NTC, ano po masasabi niyo sa sinabi ni Honorable Brosas?
We'll take cognizance of the observations by the Honorable Arlene Brosas, Mr. Chair, and we'll take a look at those instances, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And
Mr. Chair, may action ba, may pwede bang gawin yung NTC as far as we know dito sa mga cases na ganito? Wala. Hindi nila covered yung mga social media platforms, yung sa website, pagtanggal, pag-suspend, Mr. Chair?
NTC, is that within your mandate?
Well, insofar as the authorities issued by the NTC sa SMNI, Mr. Chair, unfortunately, hindi po siya covered doon. So, we will have to take a look at it further if ever, Mr. Chair.
Okay. We'll have to study that particular issue and look at the mandate of NTC. And of course, in correlation, we also have to discuss this with the ICT. Yeah, yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So, the question now is to SMNI. Pwede niyo po pong sagutin? Ano po mga komento niyo rito sa sinabi po ni Congresswoman Rosas?
I was asking for the manager of accounts.
I think,
Sino?
Mr. Chair,
Sige ho, Attorney Mark.
the Honorable Congresswoman Rosas, Mr. Chair, she has an option to file a case against the SMNI. There is criminal case, there's also civil case, and for the anchors, because all the statements of the anchors are not official stand of SMNI. That is their personal opinion. In fact, as what I've said in our previous hearing, Mr. Chair, there is a disclaimer in every program. So, and I would like to cite also the constitutional, the Supreme Court jurisprudence, Mr. Chair, that there is the freedom of press and freedom of expression is the highest, one of the highest constitutional right guaranteed by the state, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, Attorney Mark. Alam po yung mahaba na diskusyon yung issue yan.
Grabe, like natin, guys.
And you were shut down on that issue.
Dami natin, like natin, like
democratic space.
yung 3 dot sa taas, sa upper right.
There's also limitations, and of course one of them is in
Tapos mag-appear
fake news,
doon nila
some
like
part of
natin.
it. So anyway, we will not anywhere go there because you argued that way, and the committee has already positioned already on that particular issue. On the disclaimer, we have manifested in the past that you cannot use this because you can imagine if all black timers will have a disclaimer, and therefore you're now trying to tell us that MTRCB has no reach over all of these particular programs and their content. So I don't think we can also hide under that. But anyway, we now proceed. Congresswoman
Yes,
Brosas,
Mr. Chair.
please proceed.
I have a specific request. Ang specific request ko po ay malaman kung sino-sino ang may-ari ng mga media accounts na ito. And if it's possible, to give this to the committee right now. Kasi alam naman siguro nila yan at meron naman silang kopya kung sino-sino yung mga kaninong mga accounts ito, Mr. Chair.
That account, Mr. Chair, is owned by SMNI. That is not the account of our personal accounts per staff, but is owned by the Suarasu Media Corporation, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
So sila pa rin, Mr. Chair. Sa kanila pa rin yun, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Even yung guidelines sa social media posting ng SMNI, meron kayo? Paano nyo yun kinoconsider? Anong ginagamit ninyo? You have papers with you kung ano yung mga media accounts na meron kayo sa YouTube, sa Facebook, sa TikTok. Can we have that right now?
It
Mr.
was
Chair?
already answered, Mr. Chair, that the SMNI has a different social media accounts per program, Mr. Chair.
Look, Mr. Chair, gusto nating makita yung reach. Gusto nating makita kung gaano yung inaabot ng kasinungalingan, ng sinasabi ng mga red tagging, ng mga sinasabi na peddling of fake news. Kailangan makita natin kung paano yun sa aktual. Sino-sino yung may hawak noon, hanggang saan yung mga, ano-anong mga media accounts, Facebook yun, ano-anong mga ganito yan, Mr. Chair. So I was just asking for that, Mr. Chair. It is a list, Mr. Chair, na dapat isubmit ng SMNI, Mr. Chair.
direct SMNI to submit the list as requested by the Honorable Aline Rosas. And in the next hearing, we will again follow up on this list. Thank you very much. And yeah,
Sorry, last na lang, Mr.
Opo.
Chair. Oo, kasi tungkol po yung...
Mr. Chair, we will consider the request of Congresswoman Rosas, Mr. Chair, but we're studying also the possible violation of the right to privacy, Mr. Chair, and right against self-incrimination, Mr. Chair.
okay. So please study your options. Thank you. And we will also, the Honorable Paduano, the Honorable Rosas will insist on that list because this committee would ask so that we are clear as to what is being violated and what particular platforms are being used. But before we proceed, I just like to inform everyone that your names have been submitted to the floor for your attendance. Thank you. So now, you still have a question before we go to the next interpreter?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Last na lang, Mr. Chair. No? Up to what extent is Apollo Kibuloy's influence in SMNI? Ano po ang kanyang posisyon sa kumpanya sa ngayon, Mr. Chair?
We already answered that, Mr. Chair. Pastor Apollo Sikibuloy is the honorary chairman of SMNI. And he is not part of the day-to-day operation of SMNI.
Chair, credited siya sa lahat ng mga shows, Mr. Chair.
That is part of our freedom of press and freedom of expression, Mr. Chair, to credit anybody that we want to credit, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, bakit sinasabi sa bawat show, no? Halimbawa, ng Laban Kasama ang Bayan, palagi pong nagpapasalamat ito sa host, kay Apollo Kibuloy. And I quote, "At gayon din sa ating pinakamamahal, kagalang-galang at butihing Pastor Apollo C. Kibuloy na siyang gumawa, may akda at nagpahatid ng programang ito, Mr. Chair." So every time yon, Mr. Chair, tapos sasabihin niyo sa akin, ganito yung kanyang position lang.
Nagpapasalamat, Mr. Chair, yung mga anchor in their personal capacity, Mr. Chair.
Anyway, Mr. Chair, we have several questions dito sa kay Pastor Kibuloy, Mr. Chair. I think it's about time that we call, Mr. Chair, for Pastor Kibuloy na pumunta dito at to answer our questions, our specific questions. Ano po? Kasi, Mr. Chair, siguro last time naman, na-request naman na natin ito Heads of agencies come here in Congress para tayo ay sagutin sa mga mahalaga nating tanong. And we would like to, siguro dapat, it's about time na paupuin po natin, paharapin po natin, at matanong natin ng diretsyo si Pastor Kibuloy dito sa mga katanungan natin kasi hindi po ito masasagot ng attorney lang, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Chair, that is correct, Representative Rosas. We have already invited, not only once, but on several occasions, Pastor Apollo Kibuloy to attend this hearing, considering that there are so many issues that needs to be clarified, lalo na yung pangalan niya ay nandyan sa Suarasug. So therefore, Mr. Chair, I move that this committee issue a show cause order to Pastor Apollo Kibuloy why he should not appear here. So move, Mr. Chair.
Second, Mr. Chair.
Motion.
Chairman.
Yes.
Procedural lang.
Yeah,
Procedural, Mr. Chairman.
yeah, correct.
Okay.
I would like to amend my motion, considering that this is very important. I'd like to move that we issue, this committee rather issue a subpoena to Pastor Kibuloy to compel him to be present during the next hearing. And may we remind Attorney Mark Tolentino that after the subpoena, if Pastor Kibuloy does not appear, then we will be constrained to request for a warrant of arrest for him to appear here. Or rather, to move for a contempt order, and after we will not, hindi pa rin siya sisipot, yun na yung warrant. So that's what I meant. So, Mr. Chair, on my previous motion, again, I move for the issuance of subpoena to Pastor Kibuloy to appear on this committee. So move, Mr. Chair.
Motion by the Vice Chair Pimentel, duly seconded. The chair hearing no objections. The motion of the Honorable Pimentel is approved. We now proceed.
Mr. Chair, very short lang po.
Yes.
In relation lang dun sa naging question kanina. Dahil po, we are exploring options. Actually po, the NTC has had a history of blocking websites na may mga sinasite po siyang dahilan bakit siya nag-block ng specific website. So, Mr. Chair, for the record lang, that can be one of the options kung kita naman talaga na detrimental to public interest ang mga binobroadcast or pinapakalat ng SMNI. In particular naman sa mga social media applications like Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, yun, pwede pong directly padalhan ng formal communications ang head ng ganitong mga social media applications. Yun, sa kung ano man yung pwedeng i-recommend no, na action against SMNI. Yun lang, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Manuel. Next is the Honorable Joseph Stephen Paduano, better known as Karap. You are
Thank you, Chairman.
recognized.
Nakaisi si pambabayad ko. Anyway, Chairman, in relation to all the questions being raised by Congressman Manuel and Rosas and Castro, ay pinakalas is yung blocking ng mga platforms. Now, NTC, have you done that in the past?
Yes, Mr. Chair, there have been instances of that nature, and these were upon determination by appropriate agencies, Mr. Chair.
And what is that appropriate agencies?
These were upon determination by law enforcement agencies, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chairman, sino mag-initiate? NTC, then you get the opinion of the law enforcement agency? Ano na ba? Yung, yung naging kalakaran in the past ng NTC?
Mr. Chair, on instances, these were based on determination by appropriate agencies based on existing laws that are in place to include like the Isabong and OSAEC the anti-child pornography.
So, for example, yung Isabong, it was NTC. When the President issue an order to stop it, it is NTC that block it?
It was endorsed to the NTC, Mr. Chair.
It was endorsed by who?
By the PNP, Mr. Chair.
By the PNP because of... Hindi, ganito na lang, Mr. Chair, para hindi tayo tumagal dyan. Kasi gusto ko lang sundan. Kasi what stop us from doing it? Di ba? Kung pwede naman, you have the authority to do it. You have the mandate to do it. Now, ganito lang, Mr. Chairman, siguro, before the next hearing, we direct the NTC to submit that particular case, no, para makita lang natin if indeed you have the mandate and authority to do it. But of course, if you want to consult or other agencies or get the recommendation of other agencies, we will do it. But ang ano ko lang, Mr. Chair, kasi parang in the light of this investigation, SMNI, franchise, yung station, may suspension, may CDO, but of course, question of freedom of the press, laging ni Atty. Tolentino, freedom of the press, that should not be suppressed. So, lahat may limitation, di ba, attorney, di ba? Na ako, ganito na lang para malinaw. NTC, please submit to this committee a case similar to the situation of the SMNI, other platform or web page. Pakisubmit na lang po.
We will comply, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, ang ano ko lang doon, observation ko, since the previous hearing, dati si Atty. Tolentino lang, no? You might guts to say na may disclaimer. Parang ngayon mga board na saying na may disclaimer, alam namin yan. Yung iba hindi namin napanood, pero kung totoo yan, kasi may transcript, parang wala kayong responsibilidad dun sa mga anchor nyo. Ang feeling ko is, kahit kung ano mang sabihin na mga anchors nyo, and even those resource persons invited by your anchormen and women, parang wala kayong disiplina sa mga tao nyo. At ang malinaw dyan, hindi talaga, ako ofan, hindi yan papasa sa Code of Ethics and Standards. But of course, pwede namang mag-file ng libel, di ba? Pwede naman, ang option dyan is, ng individual na nagreklamo is to file proper court. But, of course, we have agencies of government that should regulate. Kaya nga may NTC, may Inter-SCB, may KBP. Unfortunately, you disassociate your membership with KBP. Pero punta ako mamaya ang KBP. Yun lang, Mr. Chair. Kasi ang laging puntong nire-raise ng mga members nila, especially those being tagged, red tag. Ngayon, Special Rapporteur. Yun yung tira sa Special Rapporteur. Ang sagot nyo, parang wala. Okay lang. Kasi may disclaimer. Kasi right yan ang anchor. Pwede ba yun? Diba? Anyway, Mr. Chairman, yun yung sabi ko, nasa NTC yan. No? At-check natin sa NTC with regards to actions that should be taken. Kung may mga agencies na kailangan dyan involve natin. Para tapos ang now cases that should be filed, bahala. Anyway, franchise yung pinag-usapan dito. Pero sa totoo lang, after the franchise, just in case, it will be revoked, may other platform pa. Diba? And now, kung walang airing doon sa station, sa mga radio stations, nandiyan pa rin yung platform in which the government, whatever agency is concerned, dapat gumawa ng paraan. Gumawa ng hakbang. Hindi pwede hanggang wala. Parang walang magawa ang gobyerno sa SMNI. Kasi SMNI lang naman sa ngayon Ang ganyan yung conduct. Other radio stations, other TV stations, kahit yung mga established na matagal ng radio station, sinusundan nga nila yung Code of Ethics. Pero yung SNI wala. Anyway, yun lang yun po sa akin. Kaya NTC, please submit the requested document before the next hearing. Kasi hindi pa naman to last Now, Chairman, may I ask the KBP? KBP, though, wala na, hindi na member yung SMNI with the KBP. But yung complaint against SMNI previously, ano yung updates doon?
Mr. Chair, insofar as the complaint filed against SMNI for acts that were allegedly committed while they were a member, KBP could take cognizance. However, since there is a pending case involving the same issues in other courts, procedurally KBP suspends its hearing to give way to the courts or government agencies to conduct their own investigation, because we are self-regulation, and the courts of law have are above us, Your Honors.
Yeah, correct. But you have your mandate. Now there is a pending case outside, but there's a complaint also.
Yes, Your Honor, that's why I was explaining our procedure, that we suspend hearing because there is a pending case involving the same issues in a court with jurisdiction.
Who filed?
We were informed
You were informed.
No,
You don't have the document?
Your Honors, that was information given in this committee. The pending cases against SMNI.
Is Attorney Domingo is present? Wala. Hindi, kasi Mr. Chairman, I will not decide for my vote with regards to the revocation on the House bill filed by Congressman Ruth Rodriguez unless malinaw talagang basis. Now, for example, NTC medyo malinaw na yan, pero wala pang finality. Now, KBP, I'm waiting for your final decision with regards to the case of complaint filed against Smni para magamit namin dito. Alam mo niyo, yung regular court now. Mr. Chairman, in the next hearing, we will invite Mr. Domingo para malinaw. Kasi, ano ba yan? Forum shopping, ang case. And I will check also KBP. I will also check with the legal department in the House if there is a legal impediment with regards to that. Kasi, pag walang legal impediment, that it will not be a forum shopping, you better check with your legal also. Para pag nagkita-kita tayo dito next hearing, hindi ka magka-problema. Baka mamaya ang opinion ng legal dito sa House is different from what you have said.
Yes, Mr. Chair, we note that and we'll take cognizance.
Thank you. Chairman, next. Last na lang, Chairman. Yung sa MTRCB, nandito ba sila? MTRCB, what is now the update of the case or the complaint?
The complaint po against the two TV, sorry sir, if I may, Your Honors, the complaints regarding the two TV programs po, Bikan sa Masa, Para sa Masa, and Laban Kasama ang Bayan, we've already decided on it. We have, the decision was for 28 days suspension, including the preventive suspension. SMNI filed a notice of appeal, so we are going to transmit the records of the case to the Office of the President's Appeals Committee now.
So, 28 days suspension,
Yes, Your Honor.
1 month. Anyway, Mr. Chairman, can we direct the MTRCB to submit the copies of that complaint and at the same time the decision of the MTRCB?
Yes, Your Honor.
Para lang po makita namin if indeed there's a basis for the revocation of the franchise. Kasi kailang patas tayo dito.
Yes, sir, Your Honor, if I may, one of the findings of the board or the committee, Your Honor, is that there was a violation of Section 3C of our mandate, which is in connection with Section 4 of the franchise, the legislative franchise, Your Honor. So it is one of our cases, Your Honor, also is the Section 4 franchise responsibility of SMNI.
Okay, so SMNI appeal to the 28 days suspension.
Yes, Your Honor, it is already with the Office of the President.
When was that? Submitted to the Office of the President.
They submitted their notice to appeal, Your Honor, last February 1, Your Honor. And we are in the process of transmitting the records of the case to the Office of the President.
Pero notice pa lang yun.
Yes, Your Honor. But
Anyway, let it be. Just submit those documents available with regards to the complaint and the decision of the MTRCB para makita lang po namin. Lalo na yung you mentioned about the violation of your decision with regards to the violation of the provisions of the franchise.
yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, the Honorable Paduano. Now the chair recognizes the Honorable Paul Daza.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon. I came this afternoon having read in our schedule 4 items that my understanding is being taken up together in the committee. These are all serious resolutions condemning fake news and revoking a legislative franchise, and that's why I came. And I want to make sure that whatever vote I put in is an informed one. I wanted to give SMNI all the opportunity to give us reasons not to support revoking a franchise, because the last thing I'd like to see are for officers, employees, families to be affected and lose their employment, just like what happened with ABS-CBN. But I'm having a hard time accepting some of the responses from the representatives of the SMNI. But just to clarify, I understand, I think Attorney Tolentino, Mr. Chair, said that if anchors are doing things wrong, there's always, you can always address those issues by filing civil and criminal cases. So and I understand that, that goes for any industry. We all have a right to file civil, criminal cases, and I don't think that's a sufficient response. Does SMNI have, just like other media outlets that I think they have, which are internal guidelines to discipline, let's say, talent? Because I know on TV, if a talent, let's say, says something that's really, unacceptable, they'll discipline a talent. Do you have any standards or guidelines for your own people?
Can I respond that, Mr. Chair? Mr. Chair, I'd like to manifest that we submitted with the committee the TV and radio manual of operation, Mr. Chair. So we have a guidelines, Mr. Chair.
No, specifically, Mr. Chair, if a anchor says something that just we all, 100% of the population agree is wrong. Let's say an anchor says, rapin na lang ninyo yan, di ba? Okay? So, without somebody filing a case or complaining to you, how would you pick that up and how would you discipline that talent?
Mr. Chair, we have an editorial board, Mr. Chair. And for details, Mr. Chair, the operation manager of SMNI can explain that in details.
If I may, Mr. Chair, the Honorable Congressman po na example is, of course, that's, kung meron pong nagsabi ng sinabi nyo na rapin na lang yan, hindi po yun uubra sa editorial policy ng SMNI. At sigurado po na kung hindi lang mapapatawag ay matatanggal po kung ganun po ang bigat po ng sinabi.
But how would, if let's say no one complained to you, how would you know one of your talent said something like that? Because kanina tinanong po kayo, I think 2 or 3 members asked you about certain statements that were, I personally felt wrong on red tagging, but none of you denied knowing those statements were made, so nothing was ever done. So how do you actually monitor? Because you apparently don't monitor your own shows and your own talent?
Your Honor, if I may. Every after ng program po, Your Honor, may mga report na ginagawa yung mga producers namin and assessment po. In regards sa problema po, dun sa may mga issues po or nilabag po yung mga anchors po namin, meron po yung team po namin na nagbo-monitor and maliban pa dun sa assessment na binibigay ng mga producers po, papatawag po sila po.
So, Mr. Chair, then I would assume yung mga pinakita kanina, mga sinabi, at the judgment of your editors, hindi rin-report yun kasi parang okay lang. Is that correct?
With regards po sir, kung comment lang po ang sinabi, komento po ng ating mga anchors po, merong certain gauge na ginagawa yung editorial policy po namin. Kung ito ay komento lang po ba, or kasi gaya po na sinasabi po namin, kung ano po yung komento ng mga anchors po namin, hindi po yung stand ng company. So kung meron po siyang sasagutin po, yung mga anchors po namin, siya po magiging liable po sa mga sinasabi po niya. Your Honor, I'd like to clarify po, iba po yung stand po, ay iba po yung pinapatakaran po natin kung ito po ay news program or kung ito po ay commentary ng mga programa. Kasi sa news po, hindi po pwede mag-comment po ang ating mga, yung ating mga reporters. Iba po ang stand po natin dyan. But in terms po sa mga program katulad ng Laban Kasama ang Bayan, Pulso ng Bayan, commentary po ang mga programang ito, Your Honor. And may free hand po yung ating mga anchors po na magbigay ng komento kung ano po yung pinag-uusapan po nila. And yung komento po nila ay ito po ay personal opinion po ng mga anchors po namin. At ulitin, kaya po sinasabi po namin, kaya po kami may disclaimer dahil kung ano man po ang opinion ng aming mga anchors, hindi po ito personal stand ng network po.
Okay, fair enough, Mr. Chair. So may I ask, since you've been operational, I think it's 2-3 years, has there ever been a sanction or a penalty given to any talent that has a show?
Mr. Chairman, if I may,
Yes,
Congressman,
please proceed.
meron pong, number one, I just want to put on record that immediately after we received the cease and desist order from the National Telecommunications Commission, we have never violated transmission on digital channel 43 and all other format under the supervision of the National Telecommunications Commission. Now, going back to the question of Congressman Paul, Mr. Chairman, we have, as a matter of fact, in the case of Mr. Eric Celis, when he admitted, we conducted an internal investigation. However, the internal investigation was preempted when he appeared before this committee and admitted or uttered a statement that in effect is an admission of a violation. So we immediately imposed the maximum sanction provided for under the Manual of Operations of the Suarezug Media Corporation, Mr. Chair.
So,
Can you, which was the...
Which was suspension, Mr.
How long?
Chairman. 10 days, Mr. Chairman.
and Mr. Chair,
Maximum yun, 10 days. Maximum penalty para na 10 days. Go ahead.
and that's the maximum?
No, Mr. Chairman, yes, over the last several days, we have amended some portions of our manual for disciplining employees. And we have imposed a varying sanctions with the maximum of expulsion or termination of services.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Sonsa.
Okay.
Honorable Dasa, you still have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, thank you for sharing that information. That helps this particular representation balance things. So I'm curious, was that sanction done before or after the video showed by the Honorable Raul Manuel?
With respect to the video presented by the Honorable Manuel, Mr. Chairman, I'm not quite certain whether this video were called from the social media platform because, as I said in the beginning, from the time we received the suspension order and the CDO, we ceased to transmit any broadcast on the regulated transmission platform as provided for in the franchise of the Suarasu Media Corporation, Mr. Chairman.
To clarify, so that video was done on a personal basis?
No, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I wish the Honorable Manuel can clarify where he called that video, whether that was from a broadcast through free-to-air or from the social media platform.
Sige, Mr. Chair, can we have Honorable Manuel clarify on that?
Yeah. Mr. Chair, the video was posted in the online accounts of SMNI on January 9, 2024.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. So it appears now it was still in compliance with the NTC. We did not air it on transmitted platform on free-to-air.
So,
it was on social media platform.
So was it before or after your sanction, your 10-day suspension?
After.
It was done after the 10-day suspension. So something like that, may I ask, what would your plans be? You sanctioned him 10 days, and then you saw the video. What action can the company now take?
The sanction refers to free-to-air. The sanction, the social media kasi, hindi po namin pwedeng sagkain yung mga personal na na pronouncement nila.
Pero Mr. Chair, talent po ninyo, kasi after the 10-day suspension, you're paying him again.
No, we're not airing, Mr. Chairman.
No, my question was not airing. My question is, what positive action will you take after you spend, I think, is he an employee? How do you call him? A contractual, talent, or whatever?
He's a talent, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry?
He's a talent.
Talent, okay. So he has some sort of financial relationship with the company. You have supervision with that talent. You suspended it for 10 days. You were suspended by NTC, and then you see a video like that. That's, I mean, I'm in the minority. I'm not here to defend the speaker, but having seen what Congressman Manuel showed in the video, I think it hurts the institution, not just the speaker. I'm defending the institution. So my question is, not whether you're going to air it, so what sanction would you take now? Because it's germane to the issue whether you deserve to be revoked or not. So it's a management decision. Do you deserve to continue your franchise? It's not a hard question.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. As a matter of fact, after I saw the video that was presented by the Honorable Manuel, I have called the attention of the chair of the editorial board. If it warrants, we will conduct another investigation and impose the necessary amended sanction as may be required.
Okay. Thank you for that. I appreciate that, Mr. Chair. But it also highlights the fact that you're not really able to monitor your talent, because it should not have taken a committee hearing to get a statement like that. Correct, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, as I said earlier, when matters does not, kung halimbawa po yung airing niya na nagkataon sa Channel 43, which is under the supervision of the National Telecommunications and pursuant to the franchise issued by the Honorable House. We will certainly take cognizance immediately. But since this is a social media platform, wala po kaming wala po ang nire-recommend nga po ng aming law department at mga legal is kung may complainant, filean po ng kaso sila at papapanagutin po namin sila sa batas.
Sige, Mr. Chair. Fair enough. That episode was January 9th. To this particular member of the House, it's crystal clear to me that you need to have better monitoring and guidelines in disciplining your talent. Okay? I'll leave it at that because I have more questions.
Before that, Mr. Chair,
Sige, Mr. Chair, I'll allow Attorney Tolentino to respond to that.
that January 2024 program, Mr. Chair, is just a form of a question. It's not a statement again, Mr. Chair.
I'm sorry, can you repeat that again?
It was a question, Mr. Chair, not a statement. I forgot, Mr. Chair, but it's a form of a question, Mr. Chair, not
Mr. Chair.
a statement. And granting it as a statement, Mr. Chair,
Mr. Chair,
granting it as a
I'll handle
statement, that is a personal opinion.
Mr. Chair, okay, no.
I will refer to the same video.
Yes,
Because
Mr. Chair,
I didn't
anyway,
see any question there.
Mr. Chair, I have the floor. You're entitled to your opinion, and the fact that you had to say that, instead of, I wanted an opportunity for me to help SMNI. Now, with that statement, it just irks me. Instead of getting a no vote on revoking the franchise, you're defending it by saying, nagpapalusot. You didn't have to do that, di ba? I don't think you're doing a good service to this particular issue for SMNI. Whether it was in a form of a statement, you're defending it, di ba? Anyway,
Right.
Mr. Chair,
That's clear.
yeah, because I don't know if we're voting today or there's going to be more hearings. It hurts me when people lose work. And I'm trying to find reasons not to support this particular House Bill 9710, but they're not helping. Anyway, let me move forward. I wanted clarity from any of the resource persons because I wanted to continue the line of Congresswoman Brosas, Chairman Paduano. I was somewhat surprised when NTC said that they can, let's say, shut down a website or whatever it is online, provided there's a determination from a law enforcement agency. So my question is, if let's say there's a website or a social media account that's advocating violence, or some sort of an account or site advocating drugs, di ba? Do you actually have to wait? Do you have the power to immediately make a decision? Kunyari, may website selling drugs, di ba? I think all of us would agree that's not acceptable. Would you have to wait for the PNP or the NBI to make a determination for you to shut down that website? Mr. Chair?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if ever there is such thing, what we can do is we can take cognizance of such an activity online, and we would deem it more appropriate to refer it to appropriate agencies to determine such the actions being shown online. We'll take cognizance of it, Mr. Chair, and bring it to the attention of appropriate agencies who may be able to evaluate it more thoroughly before we take action.
Okay, so meaning, Mr. Chair, NTC, motu proprio, cannot shut down anything online, correct? You would have to refer to someone else.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, if we referring to the if we are to go back po kasi dun sa mandate ng NTC, the
No, no,
mandate
I understand. It's a yes or a no. So am I correct?
at this right now, Your Honor, we are unable to
Okay. Are there any government agencies that have the power to do that in their mandate? So, let's say, porn sites, trafficking sites, drug sites, ang dami po niyan eh. I've been told that many of the sites, social media accounts, are being closed. So who's doing that?
Specific to your example, Your Honor, on say porn sites or similar sites like that. In this particular case, there's a say the OSAIC, the online sexual exploitation and abuse. These are basis. These are these are laws that provide guidelines that these are illegal or unauthorized. So there are bases for us to take action on that once the appropriate agencies are able to determine such violations taking place online. Same is true like with also like
Okay, so on certain, so it's criminal activity specific. If there are certain laws that enable you to do that, like trafficking or sexual, what did you say, sexual
online sexual abuse and
abuse, you can, on your own, shut them down.
that is upon the determination of the appropriate agency enforcing that law,
Karen.
Mr. Chair. Opo.
Does DICT have the power also to shut down certain online sites?
In this instances, Mr. Chair, it was the NTC. It was coursed through the NTC.
So NTC. Okay, thank you for the clarification. Mr. Chair, I came a little late. I saw on the resource person list, SEC. With your indulgence, Mr. Speaker, can I ask the SEC, because I remember in previous hearings, there were allegations of charter violations, franchise violations, corporate. So can the SEC share any findings they've had since then?
Mr. Chair, based on the records that we submitted to the Honorable Committee, the SEC found that there were some violations for failure to comply with the reportorial requirements. And this is the main mandate of the SEC in regards or as regards the regulation of existing corporation. And our records also show that we have already penalized the corporation for these findings of violation, Mr. Chair.
Well, okay, I mean, a lot of corporations do that, and you just penalize them and they pay the penalty. So there's nothing more serious that's been uncovered by SEC, other than late filing of mandatory reports.
So far, Mr. Chair, that is the case with the subject corporation, Mr. Chair.
Okay. For the MTRCB, let's say the complaint was found, it was final, executory, the complaint was valid. What steps can MTRCB do? The Honorable Paduano asked, and it's been appealed, but let's just say that there was a final decision, let's say, against. What can MTRCB do?
If there is a complaint, Your Honor, we refer it to our adjudication and hearing committee. But if we already have a decision, Your Honor, final and executory, Your Honor, we our monitoring and inspection unit monitors the
the said TV program or movie from showing or yes, Your Honor, from showing. But
And if you did that,
we actually just sorry, Your Honor, we just actually found out that we can actually, if there is a final and executory decision, we can actually endorse it to the NTC to help us in assisting us in the implementation of the cancellation of said movie or TV program in all media platforms.
oh, okay, and so you would be considered a law enforcement agency that could make the final determination. So NTC can now do what needs to be done. Okay, my last question, Mr. Chair. Would the NTC or any of the resource persons know, other than ABS-CBN, which was different, ABS, their franchise expired and was not renewed. In this case, for this particular House Bill 9710, it's an existing franchise, and the House bill is advocating for revocation. In the history of our country, has there ever been any legislative franchise for radio TV that has been revoked? Would you have that historical record? Anyone, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, may I reply? Based on the records of the KBP since its inception in 1974 and the start of the issuance of legislative franchise, there is no incidence of Congress revoking a franchise. As correctly pointed out, Your Honor, the case of ABS-CBN referred to non-renewal.
Thank you for that. Mr. Chair, can I ask KBP, would you be aware of any, let's say, outside the Philippines, other countries? And what would be the standard? What would be sufficient justification? Are there any international good practices that we can share to guide members on whether to support or not this particular bill?
I may stand corrected on this, Your Honor, but the regulatory environment in different jurisdictions is different from the Philippines, where a legislative franchise is a condition for the issuance of a broadcast license. In fact, that was the situation in the Philippines pre-martial law, where the Broadcast Media Council were issuing broadcast licenses to operate radio and television stations. It was only post-martial law where the legislative franchise was required for a franchisee to be able to get a permit from the NTC. In the United States, the regime is different. The radio and television licenses are issued by the FCC, but there's no requirement for a legislative franchise. That is also, to my recall, Your Honors, that is also true in other countries in Asia, that a legislative franchise is not required.
Are there any countries, Mr. Chair, that's similar to the Philippines that requires a congressional franchise?
Unfortunately, I'm not aware of any, Your Honors.
Okay, but yeah, thank you. Thank you for your sharing that information. Would the NTC know, has there ever been a similar franchise that's been revoked?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To our knowledge as well, we are not aware of any franchise that has been revoked up to this time, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Last one, Mr. Chair. I wanted to give Attorney Tolentino an opportunity from one lawyer to another. We learned in law school that free speech is not really free. There's a limit to it. I'm sure Attorney Supico knows that. But the classic case, Mr. Chair, is you cannot shout in a crowded movie house, "There's a fire," if there's no fire. Just like if I shouted right now, there's a bomb in the room, knowing that there's no bomb, that's not covered by free speech. So I'm curious, Mr. Chair, to give you an opportunity, whether it's your personal or company position, where do you draw the line?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to manifest a Supreme Court jurisprudence about legislative franchise and also in relation to a freedom of press and freedom of expression. This is not my personal opinion, but this is based on a Supreme Court jurisprudence approved by the Supreme Court last 2021. The Supreme Court said that a franchise constitutes a property right which cannot be arbitrarily revoked or forfeited without compliance with the due process law. It means a franchise cannot be revoked or forfeited without undergoing procedure of due process, which must be observed, which necessitates notice and hearing conducted through a court trial. So not a legislative investigation, because legislative investigation is only in aid of legislation. And second, Mr. Chair, it states that the determination of the right to exercise of a franchise, whether or not to enjoy the privilege to be forfeited, shall be subject to a quo warranto proceeding in a regular court, Mr. Chair. And this is a Supreme Court jurisprudence that we believe is a proper way, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
Can I, yeah, I'm winding down, Mr. Chair. Thank you for sharing that. I'm happy to hear that, because I think the House, this committee has had at least 3 or 4 hearings. So in terms of due process, and I don't think that that particular Supreme Court case is really on point, because we do have the power to issue, a franchise, and at the same token, we have the power to revoke. So I don't agree with that case, that it has to go through the courts, but I do agree that the concept or the principle of due process is always important, and I'm happy that this committee has heard these particular issues multiple times, which I think complies with anyone's requirement on due process. But my question was, because you continue to defend your talent despite hearing from the members, and you said earlier they have the right to file civil criminal cases. I asked about internal regulations on how you discipline talent employees. And I asked, so where do you draw the line? Obviously, Mr. Chair, if a talent says, let's burn down a Jewish temple, I don't think all of us will not be in agreement with that. That would cross the line. So how, as counsel for the company, what are your thoughts on that? I wanted to give you an opportunity, because I have to be honest, Mr. Chair, I'm looking for defenses for you guys, but you didn't do a good job doing that. So I wanted to give you one opportunity, and that was my last question, Mr. Chair.
So when I say due process, Mr. Chair, it is one of the constitutional rights guaranteed under our Philippine Constitution. Yes, we agree with Congressman Daza that is not absolute. There are certain limitations. But granting that there is limitation, there is a latest jurisprudence of the Supreme Court that in case any rulings, decisions of any government agency that affects the freedom of press and freedom of expression, there is a presumption that that government agency's ruling and decision is unconstitutional. It means the Supreme Court emphasized that the freedom of press and freedom of expression is one of the highest constitutional rights guaranteed under the Philippine Constitution. It means the Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines guarantees more protection, more right with respect to the freedom of press and freedom of expression. Yes, sometimes there are irregularities, there are inaccuracy, committed by the anchors of the SMNI. But granting those are inaccurate, granting that those are not 100% correct, still covered by the freedom of press and freedom of expression guaranteed by the Philippine Constitution. So therefore, Mr. Chair, in case there are violations by the anchors, there are other options like filing a case, but not to affect or to revoke the franchise, because a franchise granted by the Philippine government is already a proprietary right protected by the due process clause of the Philippine Constitution.
Chairman. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr.
Attorney
Chair.
Mark Tolentino,
Thank you for the time given me.
maraming salamat, the Honorable Dasa.
And Mr. Chair, this is not my opinion, Mr. Chair.
Well,
I'm just reading the jurisprudence of the Philippine Supreme Court, Mr.
I
Chair.
think that is your opinion based on what you are reading. If you only nitpick on certain, because first of all, we don't know what case are you referring
Can I
to.
read the decision,
Wait.
Mr. Chair?
You can just give us a copy because we will definitely, we cannot ask, I don't believe that the Supreme Court will go into
GR
legislative.
number
Excuse me,
one-
Attorney Tolentino, you are not yet recognized.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Again, please, makikiusap po ko.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Okay, sabi ko, just give us a copy and we will study the points that you have raised. But be rest assured that this is definitely within the right of the committee to grant, amend, repeal, and revoke. At least, klaro po tayo dyan. And if you think that we're in violation of that, then you also have the right to go to the court if you want to. Like you have been asking everyone to go to court against your station and to your talents.
Thank you,
And I
Dr.
like
Chair.
the smile of the attorney Rolex Suplico. It's a very nice smile. Okay, and he is, thank you. Anyway, klaro po tayo dyan. Sa inyo na, kasi ano po nyo, magbabasa ko tayo ng pira-pirasong desisyon, hindi ko natin alam ang konteksto ng inyong sinasabi. So, and I know that, the Supreme Court will not, malaki po ang paggalang po natin sa kanila at malaki naman po ang paggalang nila sa legislatura.
Thank you,
At
Mr.
hindi
Chair.
po sila sasaklaw sa kapangyarihan ng legislature. So maraming salamat. Donor, Attorney Caraps, Congressman Caraps, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Chairman. Anyway, that's the opinion position of attorney. But ito lang, attorney. Section 15 of your franchise. And binigay niya sa inyo yung prangkisa at nobody question about it. You review Section 15.
Here.
Oh, now you're telling us, is as if that you're telling us that we don't have the powers and authority to approve and revoke franchise. Huwag na natin pag-usapan yung powers, yung prangkisa niyo mismo, Section 15.
Can I make a manifestation, Mr. Chair?
Hindi.
Please read, I think there's a
Gusto
Section
mo basahin
15.
mo.
Okay, Mr. Chair.
15.
Okay.
Para narinig ng lahat.
This franchise shall be subject to amendment, alteration, repeal by the Congress of the Philippines when the public interest so requires, and shall not be interpreted as an exclusive grant of privileges herein provided. That is the law, Mr. Chair. And of course, there's also jurisprudence about that, Mr. Chair. GR number 196199, Mr. Chair.
Kasi tinanggap nitong prangkisa na to that we have the right to repeal, amend. And now you're telling us na parang wala kaming karapatan.
With
Ay,
all-
tinanggap niyo yung prangkisa nyo. Now we want it to amend, to repeal, or to revoke. And we have that authority based on your franchise as a law.
With all due respect, Mr. Chair, although I respect the congressman from Iloilo, Mr. Chair, it says, from Negros, Mr. Chair, it says here, Mr. Chair,
From Iloilo.
when public interest so requires. So who determines when the public interest so requires? So the jurisprudence, Mr. Chair.
Of course, Congress, because we are given the authority.
And we only need to give you due process. And what we're doing now is the due process. To amend, to repeal, or to revoke the franchise.
Mr. Chair. I respect the opinion of the good congressman, Mr. Chair. But still, the power of the Congress is subject to judicial review, Mr. Chair.
So thank you very much, Attorney Mark Tolentino.
Mr. Chair.
Hindi po tayo matapos dyan.
Mr. Chair.
Dahil kasi kung si Attorney Suplico, dito na ko po, portahin ka dyan.
Mr. Chair,
Okay?
yun nga gusto ko sabihin eh.
Attorney, hindi
Baka po
na...
pwedeng pagsalitain si dating congressman, Suplico. At nagtataas ang kamay, bakit di nyo pagsalitain, Mr. Chair?
I just wanted to add something to what Congressman Dasa said. That I remember a case in Political Law 1 that's taken up during the first year law proper. My professor was Justice Mendoza. He said that there was a case in the U.S. that a dirty finger, when held in relation to the Vietnam War, is protected speech. That guy, that the members of the Makayong Black is trying to stop from talking, came from the ranks, and he has a mission to cover them. That's what he said. So there's a political reason for that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Anyway, the Honorable Karaps, you've stated your point. There's
Mr.
also
Chair.
another speaker. There's another interpreter.
About lang dun, Mr. Chair, sa question daw na sinasabi. Oo. Mr. Chair, if kaya pong mai-flash po ulit yung ni-refer po kanina. Kasi Mr. Chair, pangalawang beses na rin pong narinig natin na yung mga sinasabi ng SMNI na hindi tama ay dapat lang daw palampasin kasi question. Mr. Chair, I did not imagine na dito sa Kongreso kailangan pa natin mag-lecture or magpataas ng reading comprehension skills ng ating mga resource person, Mr. Chair. Para patunay nga talaga na may education crisis sa bansa, Mr. Chair. Kasi tinan ba naman natin, Mr. Chair, ang subject po ng tanong na yan ang involvement ng Pangulo. Pero Mr. Chair, yung pangre-red tag sa speaker, hindi po siya naka-phrase na tanong, Mr. Chair. Kaya malinaw talaga na, oo, Mr. Chair, tingnan ba naman natin yung salita, di ba? Na ang speaker daw ay kasabwat ng trivirate na yan. So, Mr. Chair, hindi po pwede na yung fake news o yung red tagging ay kinuklog natin siya as commentary or as question. Kaya, Mr. Chair, ang mga media na hindi kaya mag-distinguish what is fact and what is opinion, ano yung commentary at ano yung hindi, actually, Mr. Chair, delikado sa lipunan natin. Yun lang, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much, the Honorable Manuel. The Honorable for the last interpreter, the Honorable Gutierrez.
Thank you very much.
Proponent of the House Bill 9710.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before beginning my interpellation, I simply want to express my appreciation for the means by which the Honorable Dasa has approached this hearing today. And I think this is the approach that every one member here should take, that they consider all angles of this far-reaching bill that I am proposing. But unlike the other members in this committee here today, I have already made my assessment of the situation. That is why I filed this bill. Mr. Chair, I came to this committee hearing today on the basis, I filed this bill on the basis of our previous deliberations. We've already seen, in my opinion, clear facts that they have violated what I categorize as two kinds of violations. On Section 4 and 7 of their franchise regarding fake news and such, red tagging. On the corporate transgressions for their failure to report sale transfer of controlling interest under Section 10, failure to abide by the dispersal requirement under Section 11, both of which, by the way, have ipso facto revocation provisions. And of course, Section 12, for their failure to follow reportorial requirements. I came here today with this committee, with this bill, expecting a tackling mostly on the legal portions. But I'm surprised to see now, Mr. Chair, based on the interpellation of Congresswoman Castro, Congressman Manuel, Congresswoman Brosas, that still they continue to violate Section 4 and 7. Still, nakikita po natin, tuloy pa rin po yung kanilang mga ganitong programa online, despite numerous attempts to fix that in the deliberations. And I am similarly irked by the statements made today by our resource persons. Before I go into the meat of the bill that I have proposed, to really flesh out and hopefully persuade my fellow members here to vote yes on this bill, I would like to give the opportunity to our resource persons. I guess we'll go backwards now, so that it's still fresh in our memory. May we ask, Mr. Chair, Attorney Tolentino, while I think we have agreed that Congress has the power, I am very curious as to the jurisprudence he is citing here today. Mr. Chair, may we ask the good attorney, what particular, not the GR number, what is the case title po?
Attorney Tolentino, case title po.
The case title, Mr. Chair, is Manila International Port Terminal versus Philippine Port Authority, GR number 196199, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, regarding that, which is the law regarding franchises that they are challenging? What is the action for po?
Again, Mr. Chair.
The facts of the case, the antecedents. What happened in this case? What are they arguing against? Anong franchise po ang binigay sa Ports Authority?
That is with respect to the... It's about the Ports Authority, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Mr. Chair, anong nangyari po?
But this jurisprudence talks about franchise in general.
Mr. Chair, may I just clarify? I want to know the antecedents of the case. The antecedent facts. Ano po yung violation ng Ports Authority, ng Manila International, yung complainant? Manila Port.
It's about Manila Port Authority, Mr. Chair. I cannot explain in details. I will give the complete copy of the decision, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, this is my problem. My problem with the legal counsel that SMNI has selected is that they tend to nitpick and choose portions which they would now claim. It goes the same with SMNI News. They will choose portions to cite as truth that matters. But when you go into the whole picture, he can't even tell us the facts of the case. Mr. Chair, I'm confident the Supreme Court will never say that Congress cannot repeal franchises. Alam ko yan. Alam ko yan sa law school. To now cite a case, which I'm pretty sure, Philippine Ports Authority, this is an executive agency exercising regulatory powers over that industry. It cannot be compared to a legislative franchise granted by Congress under the Constitution. Mr. Chair, I take exception to all of these manners of fake news, fake sources. Mr. Chair, I am honestly fed up. I wish to cite this as an example. He is citing jurisprudence which he has not understood fully. Mr. Chair, very simple. What are the facts of the case? What is the transgression of Manila ports? What is the action of the Philippine Ports Authority? How is that related to legislative franchises? I'm pretty sure, Mr. Chair, the Supreme Court here cited legislative franchises only to say that an executive agency cannot act on its own on transgressions such as that. But never does it say that the Congress cannot repeal franchises. Can you cite, Mr. Chair?
Okay, Mr. Chair.
What can Congress... Is there a particular provision in that jurisprudence that says Congress cannot repeal franchises?
Okay, it says here, Mr. Chair.
No, the question is yes or no.
Yes, Mr. Chair, yes.
Does it say there that Congress cannot?
The Congress can amend, but subject to the due process clause of the Philippine Constitution.
Mr. Chair, may we hear the provision? Sige,
Oh, yes, okay.
Okay, can you now read?
We have also characterized the legislative power to grant and regulate franchise as being subject to due process. It says here, we acknowledge the power of Congress to impose restriction on franchise. We also noted that no enactment of Congress may contravene the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. Congress may very well, in its wisdom, impose additional obligation on the various franchisees and accordingly delegate to the NTC the power to ensure that the broadcast station comply with their obligations under the law. Because broadcast media enjoys lesser degree of free expression protection.
Mr. Chair, this is in the Philippine Port.
You're talking of Philippine Port Authority in Manila. Paano ka napunta dyan sa...
No, it cites here also, Mr. Chair, because the Supreme Court decision is focusing on the power of the Congress to with respect to the franchise, Mr. Chair.
Yes, but
And
you
the Supreme Court also
no,
explained
no, no, no.
what is a
Yung binabasa
franchise.
nyo ba'y bahagi ba yan o interpretasyon nyo na yan?
Can I
No, no, no. You have to answer the question.
Mr. Chair.
You know, kasi babalik ka
It
na
is
naman
part,
dun
Mr.
sa...
Chair.
That is part of that particular
Yes.
GR that you mentioned?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Can we take a look at your...
Can I email to the
No,
Honorable
can
Committee?
we take a look now?
Mr. Chair?
Can I ask the COMSEC?
Most respectfully, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
may we just ask him how to explain how that is related to the
Correct,
Philippine port?
because
Yun
you're
na lang.
talking of broadcast.
I assume our
You're talking
compañero
about,
read the case.
ano naman ang connection mo ng broadcast sa Philippine Ports Authority?
No, Mr. Chair, the Supreme Court explained the nature of a franchise.
Yes, so why did they particularly mention about broadcast?
I was not able to read the complete details, Mr. Chair, because it's too long, Mr. Chair. But I can explain, Mr. Chair, that the constitutional nature of the franchise,
We
Mr.
have to
Chair.
validate yung binabasa ko niyo. Pasensya lang po, Attorney Mark.
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Hindi naman po tayo nagano, pero medyo tahilis ho kasi yung binabasa niyo eh. Okay, that is, we cannot see how they can include that in a decision that has nothing to do with broadcast or anything else. So maybe I would like to...
Can I email this, Mr.
Yes,
Chair, to
yes,
the
I would
committee?
suggest, can you just send us a copy? Anyway, we're checking your records now.
Thank you, sir.
I ask, Congressman Rog, can we please proceed because we will not. I cannot accept his that explanation.
Mr. Chair,
because I think it's not. I think he's reading from something else.
Mr.
So
Chair.
can you now proceed?
Yes, thank you. I will proceed. On the last point lang, no, it's very possible that our good Panyero is reading an obiter. Or perhaps he's reading the background to support a... You know, in our Supreme Court cases, sometimes there's second, third sources already. So I think for him to, regardless if that is the case, without a sufficient explanation of how that ruling would apply here, kasi sa case pa lang, Philippine ports, tapos bigla may NTC, without satisfactorily explaining to us, I don't think it would persuade anyone here in this
Yes, and I
committee.
don't think the Supreme Court rules on obiters. Is that the right term?
Yes, obiter.
They do not rule on that.
Mr. Chair, and more specifically, even if we
Mr.
were
Chair,
to
can I
take, Mr. Chair, if we were to take that quote on its face value, it's talking about due process. But never does it say anything about Congress not having the capacity under the Constitution to revoke franchise. And this, what we are doing here, my dear colleague members, is due process. Ito po yung ginagawa natin. This is due process we are doing under our legislative process. Now, with that, Mr. Chair, I don't think we'll get anywhere with the Supreme Court. But there's one more thing I want to take up. Mr. Chair, there was some mention. Mr. Chair, there was a mention earlier, one of the first interpellators, and it was explained by the Council of SMNI, that they followed all of the procedural requirements of the NTC. Mr. Chair, may we ask the NTC to verify that, in fact, they have followed the deadlines by date regarding their orders?
Mr. Chair, insofar as the filing of the answers, SMNI filed the answers, but insofar as the reports that we receive in
Mr. Chair, no, sorry. Just the filing of the answers and the proceedings of the administrative case, were they timely filed? Because I understand there was an initial 30-day suspension, and there was a reiteration from the NTC to file their answer. May we know if, at the very least, in the due process provision, was it timely followed?
Mr. Chair, in reply, insofar as the answer to our issuances, there was supposed to be a deadline of January 15 on the filing of the answer. They explained that they have they have another 5 days from the denial of the motion of the bill of particulars. So, and that's part of the review and evaluation that the NTC is reviewing right now. But they submitted it on the 19th. Mr. Chair.
So as far as we're concerned, on the original deadline, di po nasunod. But they arrogate upon themselves the new rule. Mr. Chair, under the rules of the NTC,
It would depend on the assessment of the NTC.
so we're not ready
The
to
same
answer that yet.
is necessary or not.
Okay. No, but I mean, Mr. Chair, do we have that provision under your rules? Pwede po ba mag-file ng bill of particulars?
There's no specific, in the guidelines of the NTC, there's no specific guideline on that, Mr. Chair, but the rules of court apply suppletorily to the processes of the commission.
So they filed the motion for bill of particulars, which now extended yung kanilang motion, the time for which they could answer. And is it correct, Mr. Chair, that this is the subject of a case before the Court of Appeals? It was made the subject of a case, the Court of Appeals?
Mr. Chair, that's a different one.
Mr. Chair, among the research persons, who could properly elucidate on the effect, the case that the SMNA filed with the Court of Appeals?
I can explain that.
Perhaps the counsel. Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, we filed when the NTC issued a 30-day suspension against SMNI, preventive suspension, the first 30 days, we filed a petition for certiorari, prohibition mandamus, and prayer for TRO with the Court of Appeals. But the Court of Appeals denied it on the ground that we failed to file a motion for reconsideration. So it was denied not based on merits. So again, the NTC suspended again give us indefinite suspension. There's no date how many days. So this time, we filed a motion for reconsideration and now pending with the NTC. So that is the status with respect to the NTC. But I'd like to put on record that we filed before this development, Mr. Chair, we filed a motion for bill of particulars because the order of NTC is not clarified what are our violations, but it was also denied. We also filed a motion for inhibition because they are also the complainant, so we can expect them to...
Mr. Chair, thank you. Just doon lang po, we'd like to focus.
Thank you very much, Attorney Totino.
So, Mr. Chair...
Let's be very brief.
Okay, so the Court of Appeals was indeed regarding that proceeding. There was already that filed before the CA, and it was denied for failure to file the MR. Mr. Chair, the good attorney mentioned earlier that there was an MR filed.
We also filed a motion for reconsideration.
After the fact?
No, to the order. To the order giving the order issued by the NTC giving indefinite suspension for the operation of SMNI.
Okay, but there was no MR during the initial 30-day suspension?
No MR. We go directly to the Court of Appeals.
Okay, so yun yung issue po natin. Due process was afforded, but they skipped it. In fact, the wording of the CA was that the SMNI cannot arrogate upon itself the decision of whether or not an MR is required. Is that correct, Mr. Chair? That was part of the 5-page resolution.
Mr. Chair, we did not file an MR because we believe that the case of SMNI is part of the exception because time is of the essence because NTC immediately suspended us without giving us an opportunity to explain.
Mr. Chair, and the CA disagreed and denied.
And the CA said that no, you need to file an MR first.
So, yun nga po, na-deny po ng CA.
But not based on merit, Mr. Chair.
Not based on merit. And exactly, Mr. Chair, I think that is vital because SMNI is now harping on due process. But it seems that they are not following the procedures that are being offered, whether it's under this Congress, whether it's by the NTC. That word really struck me from the CA. They are arrogating talaga upon themselves their own interpretation of all of these rules and whatnot. So, Mr. Chair, with that, I want to go now to, kasi like I mentioned earlier, this bill was supposed to be on the legality. But I am surprised to see that nangyayari pa rin yung mga issues natin in Section 4 and 7.
Correct.
Mr. Chair, may we ask now, How does SMNI treat production of their shows? I know we touched on this very briefly. Is there a separate corporation that deals with production? Perhaps we can ask yung sa operations po nila, Mr. Chair.
Operations.
Mr. Chair, there's none. All production is done by
Ano po?
SMNI. Lahat po
Meron?
ng productions ng programa ay produce po ng SMNI.
Mr. Chair,
Maliban-
their all production is done by SMNI.
Correct. It's
So-
not a co-prod.
It
This
is not
is
co-
studio produced or, yes.
So all provisions of their franchise would necessarily apply to what they do as a production company. Is that
Yes.
correct, Mr. Chair? So, Mr. Chair, how now do we differentiate between the two? Kasi I believe a while ago, their consultant was saying na whatever it is that we're commenting here would not apply to productions they've made because it's in YouTube. Tama ba, Mr. Chair? May we ask the consultant, Mr. Sonsa?
J. Sonsa.
Yes, Mr. Chair. What's the question?
Yes, Mr. Chair, you mentioned earlier, upon prodding by one of our colleagues here, regarding the production of Mr. Celis, the video that was posted in that issue. And the defense that you posited was that you have no hand on that because it is not free TV. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
My statement, if I may recall correctly, Mr. Chair, is insofar as violation of the franchise with respect to free TV, whether it's radio or television, we have not violated any transmission procedures.
Mr. Chair, so you're mentioning transmission procedure to highlight the fact that you have not violated the suspension order, correct?
Yes.
That is the crux of your
Suspension and
statement.
the CDO. Mr.
The suspension and the CDO, you're talking about you are relying on YouTube to go around the issue of the suspension order. But the question, Mr. Chair, is that when it comes to production, is it not a shared it's not even shared. It is the responsibility of SMNI under their franchise. Because as you mentioned, there's no separate corporation for production.
Yes.
So whether or not it is aired, I understand, Mr. Chair, honestly, that tama po yung sinasabi niya. Because it is through YouTube, there is no transgression of the cease and desist order. But regarding the sections 4 and 7 on the substance of the production, it is something that has been skirted all day long, Mr. Chair. Kasi po tinatanong po natin dito, as succinctly pointed out by the Honorable Dasa, if that wasn't free to air, where would they draw the line? Because apparently, if you take it out, if the NTC suspends it, wala na po dun, they feel that, and they are still producing po, no? They're not airing it, but they're producing the content, that there's no need to draw any line. Because after all, do a crime, they'll just file a case after. I think, Mr. Chair, that is our problem here. The way by which Suara Sug goes about their business, it really shows impunity, perhaps? It's a culture of impunity, a culture of walang pakialam, anything goes. So that's why, Mr. Chair, I think, and I hope this persuades my fellow members here, that this is an obligation that we have as members of Congress. Ito na po yung public interest, common good, general welfare portion that is being referred to by the Constitution. That, again, I will cite it again, neither any franchise or right be granted except under the condition that it shall be subject to amendment, alteration, or repeal by Congress when the common good so requires. They are skirting provisions on the NTC. They are focusing only on, they have no more obligations kasi hindi na to on air. They are focusing on YouTube. But yet they still go about doing the same things. Mr. Chair, can we maybe ask the Chief of Operations again? They are aware that since Suara Sug is not a separate corporation, they are bound by sections 4 and 7 of the franchise.
Yes, Sharon.
Yes, Mr. Chair. And they also understand that under sections 4 and 7, they have the duty, self-regulated duty actually, to provide balanced programming.
Yes po.
So how do we now reconcile that responsibility to the public of giving balanced programming, avoiding fake news, avoiding red tagging, with what is being done now? Mr. Chair, may I ask, okay, one more. We mentioned during the last hearing, they mentioned that there is now an ethics committee, or what do you call that? What is your grievance committee po? The question is directed to the Chief of Operations.
Yes po, yes po.
Ano po yun? What is the committee that you have
Ethics
formed?
and Grievance Committee.
Ethics and Grievance Committee. So when it is not on free-to-air TV, does it not apply to the produce? Because I remember the other board member mentioned, member of the board mentioned that whether this is on air no or on YouTube, lahat ng ginagawa nila sa programa would be at the end of the day subject to a report, of which supposedly this Ethics and Grievance Committee would deliberate. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
Yes, po.
And this, despite being on YouTube, should have gone through the Ethics and Grievance Committee. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
It would definitely go through that after this hearing.
No, after this hearing, Mr. Chair, may I ask my good colleague, the Honorable Manuel, ano po yung date nung video that they...
January 9, 2024 na
January
post.
9. It is now February 7. Bakit ngayon lang po? Isn't it supposed to be the whole purpose of a production report is that the moment that that was produced, it will be reviewed by your committee, subject to action. Bakit ngayon pa lang po? Just because ngayon lang nakita?
Mr. Chairman, we haven't received complaints with regards to broadcasting.
Mr. Chair, I think the whole point of the committee is to avoid complaints po, no? That's why you have your production team report on it right after production. Before anyone has seen it, before anyone has been offended, before any crime is committed. Mr. Chair, ang problema po natin dito, most honestly, yung grievance committee seems to be a reactionary one. You might as well call it the Congressional Inquiry Response Committee. Kasi, yun ang nangyayari po, no? They only constituted the committee last hearing after the fact already of that issue on the budget of Congress. And then now, they are going to tell us that the grievance committee will act on it only after it was brought up by Representative Manuel, after the fact of the offense. So, Mr. Chair, this goes back to my point, no? Na the way by which they handle their business, it's very, hands-off. And I think this really goes into the provision on the common good that we should respond to. The other matters, Mr. Chair, I just want to reiterate na lang po, no? Because this was already mentioned time and time again. Section 10, 11, and 12. I'd like to ask the SEC, because perhaps it does not give a full picture. Earlier, the Honorable Dasa asked you about the offenses of the Suarezug Media Corporation, and it seemed to give off the idea that it is only late filing. But is it not during the last deliberation, we found that they filed with the SEC, what they filed there was different from what they filed with the committee. Is that correct, Mr. Chair?
That's correct, Mr. Chair.
So I would say that this is not only a late filing issue.
Yes, Mr. Chair. What I shared earlier to the commission was based on the records, but yes. I confirm that during the previous deliberation, we made a manifestation that there was a discrepancy in the filing that were made to the SEC as well as to the Honorable Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Of course, we're not pinpointing that answer. No, we understand your answer because on the part of the SEC, what you only see was a late filing. But taken together with what was filed with the committee, nakita po natin there's discrepancy, which goes into the substance of those reports. I will not belabor the point, no, but we've already, as shown before by PowerPoint, the issues of the controlling interest. This was something that was verified by the SEC. They transferred interest without asking permission of Congress, again, verified with the SEC. Even the change of the executive pastor of Kingdom of Jesus Christ from non-stock to corporation sole was very, maybe ask again, just for everyone here, SEC, maybe ask the point made out by the Congresswoman Nograles regarding the change from executive pastor to corporation sole regarding the requirement of the two-thirds vote ba yun? There was an issue there, was there not, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Chair, those were information that we shared that reflects the records of the Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I just want to harp on that point, just because for those who might be hearing about it for the first time, they might think that the transgressions were merely late submissions. But it really goes into the substance of the report. And it goes into what I'm saying, the culture of which SMNI operates, na it's really haphazard. So I think to protect for the interest of the common good, I really seek the urgent approval of my bill. So I think might be others who would like to ask, so I would like to relinquish the floor to the next. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you very much, the proponent, the Honorable Ramon Rodriguez Gutierrez of One
Mr.
Rider.
Chair, Mr. Chair, with your indulgence and the indulgence of the gentleman from One Rider, can we ask the SEC, because it was just highlighted that there were discrepancies in records. Is that within their authority to investigate if there were any sort of misrepresentation or fraud? Because it was just highlighted just now, and no less than the Honorable Kim was sitting next to me, and I remember she was one of the members who pointed that out, I think, in the last hearing. Could we ask the SEC?
Yes, Mr. Chair, can I provide a context on what happened in this particular matter? So what happened in this matter is that when we were
Please
asked
speak closer to your microphone. Thank you.
when we were asked to verify a particular submission, we presented to the honorable committee the records that were with the SEC. Unfortunately, it was also discovered that the same document that was filed with the honorable committee was not the same document that was filed with the SEC. So that was the discrepancy. And the reason for that is under the legislative franchise of the subject committee, they are required to file reportorial requirements with the Honorable Congress. So that was the context why the Honorable Committee discovered that there was different documents, same documents, different filing.
Okay, well, thank you for that background, Mr. Chair. So my question is, because the commission, you're a quasi judicial type of body, the SEC. You have regulatory and investigative powers. Now that you've been put on notice of these discrepancies, aren't you duty bound to do some sort of an investigation and report at least to yourselves and then share it with the committee?
Mr. Chair, there is actually a new provision in the revised corporation code, which provides that any person who certifies in a document required to be filed with the commission to a false or misstatement or a erroneous data can be held criminally liable. So that's one of the things that the SEC has the power to look into. But since this is a criminal case, the procedure is the SEC will need to file a proper or file a proper endorsement before the Department of Justice.
And have you started the process, or do you see a need to start the process?
Personally, Mr. Chair, certainly there is a need, and this is a matter that is within the jurisdiction of our Enforcement and Investor Protection Department.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Asa, the chair recognizes the harder working Kimbo from the 2nd District of Marikina, the Honorable Stella Luz Kimbo. Welcome, ma'am, to the committee hearing of the Franchise Committee. So, are you done, the Honorable Daza? Any other question by any other member? The Honorable Kimbo, of course, is recognized.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, kung natatandaan po natin, medyo matagal na nung huli nating hearing, ang naging issue po natin kay Casa Elisa ay ang kanyang refusal to reveal to us yung kanyang source of information. At dahil nga doon, nagkaroon tayo ng napakaraming problema, no? At dahil din doon, ang isa sa mga nakuha po natin na documents ay yung kanilang manual. At in fairness naman, nakapag-produce naman sila ng manual. At nakita po natin doon na merong very specific guidelines kapag merong source na revealing the source may threaten or cause harm to the source. At kung pwede ko pong i-share sa inyo, ganito po ang naka-indicate sa manual. Correspondents and reporters should not hide their source of a news story unless revealing it may threaten or cause harm to the source or lead to a halt in the flow of information to the correspondent. In such cases, the source should be revealed to the highest editorial authority, who should decide whether or not to broadcast the story and take responsibility for airing it. When airing it, it is sufficient to say SSMC, SMNI was informed that, etc., etc. So, ang tanong po natin is, ginawa po ba ito ni Caselis? So, ang unang tanong, at that point in time, sino po yung highest editorial authority? Anong petsa po? Kailan po niya sinabihan itong highest editorial authority? Ano po ang ginawa ni highest editorial authority doon sa information na yan? Ano po ang naging advice ni highest editorial authority kay Caselis?
Yes, Mr. Chair, yung binasa po ni Congresswoman is for correspondents and reporters. Please take note po na si Ka Eric is not a correspondent nor a reporter, he's a commentator of program po. So yung pong kanyang ginawa sa live broadcast, nevertheless, ay dumaan po siya ng investigation and like we said earlier, nagkaroon po siya ng 10-day suspension from broadcast.
Ano yung kaibahan ng correspondence and a commentator?
At Mr. Chair, ibig sabihin po nun, just because iba ang tawag sa akin, hindi ako correspondent, hindi ako news anchor, ibig sabihin nun, mas mababa ang standards na ma-apply sa akin. Yun bang ibig sabihin nun? Diba? So paki-explain po, una, ano po ang pagkakaiba? Anong tawag sa kanya ulit?
Commentators po sila.
Anong pagkakaiba ng commentator sa correspondent or news anchor? That's the first question. Pangalawa, ano ngayon ang standards applicable to a commentator? Wala po akong nakitang separate standards para sa commentator. In a situation katulad nito, at the fact na naisulat dito ang gagawin kapag may ganitong sitwasyon, ibig sabihin nun, anticipated ninyo na nangyayari ito all the time. Kaya nga maganda, di ba Mr. Chair, na nakalinaw anong gagawin kasi anticipated. Ibig sabihin nun, anticipated din na mangyayari ito sa mga, anong tawag sa kanya? Commentator. So sa unang tanong po, pagkakaiba ng commentator sa correspondent?
Mr. Chair, ang unang tanong po, ang mga commentators po, ang mga news correspondents at mga news writers, sila po ay news writers o news reporters po ang nakasulat, ay nagre-report, dumadaan po sa mga editors, lahat ng kanilang isinusulat bago po ito lumabas sa TV, whereas ang mga commentators po, ang kanilang mga topics ang aming nakikita kung ano ang kanilang pag-uusapan. Ngunit ang nangyayari po na kanilang sinasabi sa live broadcast ay hindi po namin lahat masasala. At kaya po nangyari na after po ng live ay dumaan po ng proseso ng investigasyon si Ka Eric. Subalit ito po ay na preempt na rin po ng investigation dito sa Kongreso. But nevertheless, ito po ay nagpatuloy at siya po ay dumaan sa 10-day suspension. Hindi po ibig sabihin na hindi po siya dumaan sa proseso ng pagdidisiplina.
Sa makatuwid, kung ikaw ay commentator, hindi ka napapaloob sa kahit na anong authority. Kahit na ano, pwede mong sabihin, Mr. Chair. Ganun ang intindi ko po sa sinasabi ninyo. Kasi kapag correspondent ka or news anchor, ikaw ay mayroong nire-reportan na editorial authority at merong rules. Kapag commentator ka, there's no such thing. So ang ibig sabihin nun, pag malasin ka at nag-intervene ang Kongreso, saka ka lang paparusahan. So, can you imagine, Mr. Chair? Ang hirap naman, di ba, napupunta sa atin ang burden ng ganitong sitwasyon, di ba, na hindi naman yata pwede yan, di ba? So, tama ba na walang standards para sa commentator?
Mr. Chair, can I answer the Honorable Kimbo? Yes. Mr. Chairman, ang nire-refer po kasi doon sa binasa nyo kanina, doon po sa staff ng News and Public Affairs Department, no? Reporters, correspondents. With respect to anchors or talents, sila po ay subject pa rin sa provisions which are provided in their separate contracts. Yung pagdisiplina, halimbawa may violation sila sa franchise, abay, siyempre, kinakailangan dumaan sila sa pagdisiplina. Kaya nga nagkaroon ng investigasyon. Hindi nangangulugan na hindi po sila subject to disciplinary action. Mr. Chair.
Mr. Sonsa, with the pagay ko, hindi mo naman natin pwedeng hingi lahat ng mga kontrata ng lahat ng mga talents ninyo. Pero pagay ko, I think they're all airing under one program, under one network.
Pwede naman isa lang.
So, I'm pretty sure that everybody toes the line with one set of rules. Ngayon yung hindi ko maintindihan, by all of a sudden, pag ganun pala, pag meron kang titirahin, tawagin mo lang commentator para iwas puso nila ang SMNI o any network for that nature. Hindi mo pwede. You know, you cannot hide under that like yung mga disclaimer. Parang sabi na pag ang isang network, kunyari, Channel 7, ay may disclaimer kami dyan, kaya hindi pwedeng hapulin MTRCB ang sasabihin ito. Hindi mo pwede. Diba? I mean, you cannot hide under this. And somehow, we cannot also, it's hard to comprehend. Yung sasabi ni Congresswoman Kimbo na how can you have a different set of rules sa commentator at sa news reporters? Parang baba naman ang tingin natin sa mga commentator. Pag ganyan mo ang gawin mo niya. Kasi ang gagawin nyo, di persona ang gagawin nila. Kaya gawin nyo na kung ano gusto nyo gawin dahil hindi naman kayo covered ng manual. Ba't pa kayo nagpakita ng manual? Ang pinag-uusapan, si Ka Eric, tapos nagbigay kayo ng manual na ito yung possession namin. Tapos now you tell us, it does not refer to Ka Eric. Pwede ba yun? Di ba, yun yung basihan ng usapan, yung kaya nga humihingi ng manual, mabuti o magiging klaro naman po tayo.
Opo, klaro naman po.
Opo.
Hindi po, kung sanay kayo sa kalakaran sa industriya, mas mabigat po ang pagdisiplina sa talent and anchor kaysa dun sa mga regular correspondent, reporters, writers. Doon sa mga nagtrabaho sa industriya, naintindihan po nila yun. Kasi ang talent at immediately pwedeng tanggalin nyo sila sa trabaho, sa kontrata nila eh. Hindi katulad sa dadahan mo talaga sa proseso kasi
Pero the way it's explained to us, parang balikat.
hindi kaya ko tinutuloy.
Meron po kayong rules pagdating po sa reporter, pero pag correspondents, pero pagdating sa commentators, wala. Kasi yung kakasabi lang ko kanina ng operations, which, tapos binigyan nyo ng 10-day suspension. Bakit nyo binigyan ng 10-day suspension? Wala pala siyang hindi pala siya cover dun sa manual niya. I mean, it does not make sense. And that's what Congressman Daxo was saying earlier. Na, the more you have to be very careful kasi you're now kind of contradicting each other. So, mag-ingat na po tayo dun sa mga, kasi syempre, we would like to discuss this fairly and we are trying to understand how you operate. And the Honorable Kimbo, who has attended all the hearings of this committee, has always been fair in her assessment and has always been objective in her questions. So, the Honorable Kimbo, you still have the floor. If you still have any.
Well, actually, Mr. Chair, gusto ko pa sana magtanong dito tungkol sa kanilang code of ethics. Pero sa totoo lang po, walang gana na po, di ba? Kasi, magpapalusot lang naman po, di ba? Eh kung ganito yung rule, ang sasabihin lang naman, papalitan lang naman ng tawag dun sa imbis na commentator, imbis na reporter or news anchor na tawaging commentator. Eh, hindi naman pala code of ethics ito kung hindi cheat code. Huwag na lang po. Thank you na lang po. I will just yield to the next. Thank you po, Mr. Chair. Salamat po.
Thank you very much, Honorable Sarah Kimbo. The Honorable Tina Pancho, second nurse, Pambulacan.
Mr. Chair, makikita po natin na in any company, there's always a chain of command. So, pag nag-utos ka, dire-diretso yun, responsible ka to whatever action ng tao mo. Pero nakikita po natin dito na parang hindi po nasusunod yung chain of command natin eh. So siguro po one of the suggestions lang po natin na siguro next time when we grant o give franchise to any company, siguro yung disclaimer tanggalin na po natin. Kasi pagdating po sa pagpapalabas, pag pumapasok ka advertisement, kumikita, everybody is happy. Pero pag nakasira ka na ng image ng tao, para bang, oops, teka, kayo lang yan. May disclaimer kami. So siguro next time, Mr. Chair, review natin na tanggalin na po yun.
Opo.
Po, Mr. Chair.
I know sa mga major networks, so kaya rin yung tawag siya.
Sanay ito.
Anchor, correspondent, hindi ko pwede lahat siya. Yung
Tuwan.
one rule. And the rule. So, I thank you very much, Honorable Tina Pancho. There's no other
sabi ko sa'yo,
member who would
tuwan
like to speak. Okay. Anyway, your attendance is already in the floor. Yes, the Honorable
TikTok
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So, sinasabi kanina, yung suspend lang ay yung free air. Pero the same content pa rin, nilagay ni air nila, sabi at follow lang yung ating kasama si Pong Gutierrez. The same thing, walang pagbabago. Yung ginagawa nung sa free air na ginagawa nung series at saka nung Badoy, at saka sa online, at saka doon sa free air, si Chair. Kaya parang misrepresent nila, no? By continuing these programs through SOCMED, okay lang, parang lagi mag-pasok. Basta kumikita, okay lang, sige lang. Tuloy-tuloy lang kayo kung ano yung sinasabi. Basta tanggap yan ng mga trolls, tanggap yan ng mga nagbabayad sa atin. So parang ganun eh. Wala pa talaga, Mr. Chair, na parang control tayo. Halimbawa, meron pa tayong magagawa halimbawa sa NTC. Kasi ang NTC po, Mr. Chair, alam ko nag-cancel po kayo or nag-suspend po kayo ng website. Tama? Ng mga alternative media. Alam ko may ganun po kayong ganun po kayong ginawa. So, halimbawa sa ganito po, wala po ba kayong control doon sa website, halimbawa SMNI na same pa rin naman po yung content na katulad ng nireklamo natin, red tagging, disinformation, maligning, the reputation ng mga individual. So, ano po ba yung magagawa doon ng NTC, Mr. Chair? Kahit na suspended na, yung free airs, kahit na suspended na, parang wala silang pakialam. Kahit na suspended kami anyway, andyan na social media, lahat ng mga platform na pwede namin puntahan para magsalita. Na sila dapat ay may control kung sa kanilang no? Sinasabi nila yung mga talents na binabayaran nila. So, ayun, sabihin nila wala silang So, meron po ba ang
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So far as that yung concern po na yun,
100.
we had a preliminary discussion with the LTRCB and we would advise that yung suspension order po nila includes not only the free-to-air but on other platforms. So if that is the case, Your Honor, should the MTRCB decide to endorse that suspension order to the
Saan yung viewers?
for
Saan yung
suspension on
viewers?
other platforms,
Ito?
perhaps we can consider, the NTC can consider that.
So,
Paano malaman ang view?
Kasi parang MTRCB, kasi parang pinapasa yung MTRCB. By the way, ito po bang DZAR 1026, saka ito yung radio nila.
Suspended din po ba yun?
Live ko na.
Yes, Your Honor. Kasama po.
Okay. So, NPRCD na lang.
Yes po, attorney.
Nasa mag-ipindot na rin ako.
Decided to suspend
O 15 views
or
na, 70.
cancel a program in all kinds of media platforms. And so this decision is final and
Ilan na?
Uy, ano yun? 8 yan?
Ilan na itong nagawa ko?
8 viewers ba yan? Tama ba? Ito? Or 125?
O ilan na nagawa ko?
Bakit sa akin yun? 20? Ito yung viewer. Yung total.
Kasi ito, meron lang
Total
ako
250 plus.
dahil nga sa mga decision.
Ang dami ko na nagawang heart,
Ayun, no? 141 na.
Bakit kaya?
Mas famous pala ako sa TikTok.
Pero ano po yung ginagawa? Do you have yung complaint pa? Or yung mandate ninyo?
At ready yan ako. Pag naka 1,000 na ako, wala pa akong 1,000.
Oo, 1,000.
Gawin niyo kung 1,000.
Final and executory decision of the committee, our monitoring and inspection unit po, they make sure
Hindi nga lang ako
po monitor
magtitik.
if
Hindi ko alam
po yung movie or
Ito na lang TikTok post, 88 pa, 66 na lang ako.
honestly po,
Sige, ano
currently,
natin?
we are amending
Boost yun naman ako.
charters include online, on-demand online applications as well as link applications for social and other social media platforms to be under our
Mas marami pa
jurisdiction.
yung paano na nakalo.
So, sige, yun lang si Sir, makakaasa tayo, no? Dahil sa monitoring ng other platform based doon sa amendment mo yun sa matrix. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Tina Pancho, the Honorable...
Ikaw mga to.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, if you still remember Rendon Labrador,
Ayoko ko mga to.
yung sa Facebook, marami siyang kinawit, kinagalit eh. Inalis po siya ng Facebook eh. Maybe we can ask Facebook or TikTok, any research person from TikTok and Facebook, na mag-invite po natin na kung ano yung guidelines po nila. Kasi if you remember Rendon Labrador, inaway si Vice Ganda and other celebrities, kinat siya eh.
Okay.
May disciplinary action.
Sige, pag-usapan natin, maybe we can look at legislation for that. Yes, Honorable Kimbo.
Yes,
Again.
pahabol question.
Before I go to the last.
Yes, to the NTC. May
NTC.
may we know how many orders we have issued so far to the SMNI with respect to this issue?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Your Honor, insofar as this issue is concerned, the NTC has issued 2 orders relative to this, and the others are
Paano may send ang link na yun?
resolutions of their motions. So,
Paano titignan nila kung ilang viewers? Yung screenshot
So how
na.
many issuances total?
Pag nag-report ka,
and 2 resolutions
Hindi bibigyan ng report.
for
And the resolutions are, can you tell us what the resolutions are about?
the resolution on the motion to inhibit, and also the resolution
Pangalo
on
ko sa'yo
the
Alam mo rin ako sa
motion for the bill of
Pinagawa pa
rights.
ko.
And may we request copies of these orders, Mr. Chair?
Thank you very much, the Honorable Kimbo. Just to inform you, early on, that was already a motion that all documents be given and make sure that the Honorable Kimbo's office is furnished. All issuances, including the reply of SMNI. Thank you. So, if there are no other items, the Honorable Pimentel, the Vice Chair, would like to again manifest.
Mr. Chair, before we adjourn, I'd like to remind Attorney Tolentino to please advise your principal, Pastor Quiboloy, to attend the next hearing because this committee has already previously issued a subpoena. Failure on his part to appear during the next hearing, this committee might be constrained to to issue a contempt order to him. So paki-advise na lang po para hindi na tayo dumating doon. Mr. Chair, I move to
Franchise ng
adjourn.
SMNI
There's
kung
a motion to adjourn.
tutuloy or
Duly
hindi.
seconded. The chair in objection. This committee hearing is hereby adjourned.
Thank you po sa mga nanood. Thank you, thank you.
Tapos na?
Wait lang po, baka may ma-interview tayo. Interview natin. Sige natin sila. Castro.
Thank you, guys. See you tomorrow.
Tomorrow ba? Meron ba tomorrow?
Hindi, wala. Gusto ko lang sabihin. See you tomorrow.
See you. Nice day. Hindi mo pala muna dyan para may makibigay sa
Paano?
Ayan.
Oh, 2,800.
Saglit lang. 290. 1 follower.
Lapit ko na ma-reach yung goal ko. Pwede mo yan kasi sa afterlife.
Oh, interview.
Hindi ka mag-aangkos.
Uy, nag-interview dun mo.
Sinasot na kayo.
Sino? Ito si Jason sa. Kaso yung bag ko.
Sorry.
Nag-CR lang, nag-CR.
Sana si ano? Sino?
Inabangan ko pa. Inabangan namin eh.
Maghanap tayo ng i-interviewin. Jason sa? Si Jason sa? Tara! Interview. Ito si Sir, oh, Jay. Ha? Interviewin natin.
Babalikan din kasi interview nila. Wala? Congo. Hindi Congo siya.
Yung parang kanina.
May, kaya na rin ang
Sabi niya nung bakit? Gano'n din tayo dito. Alisin kayo.
Louder.
Yes, parang pagkakita ito sa katotohanan at saka yung accountability. Obvious na obvious naman talaga, no, na nakikita natin dito na halimbawa yung ethics, yung pagbibet ng kung tama o mali or meron talagang o totoo talaga yung nagiging sources nila ng mga information ay wala silang pakialam, di ba? Katulad nga ng pinresent ko kanina, di ba? So hindi man lang sila nag-worry na or totoo kaya ito o di ba dapat ganun. Actually nga, pag may mga networks, mga malalaking mga networks, pag kahit na one word na nagkamali yung kanilang anchor o yung kanilang discusser o commentator nila for that matter, nag-a-apologize sila. Kung meron, ito hindi. Talagang may culture of impunity at saka talagang may intention talaga na manita ng mga reputasyon ng tao na katulad namin sa Makabayan, lagi kami nire-rental kahit na walang mga pasahan sinasabi nila sa amin ay talagang mapunit talaga katulad niyan, ito represent yung kahit na-suspended na sila using the social media. Wala, hindi pa rin sila nag-regulate. Kami, advocate kami ng freedom of expression and freedom of speech. Pero, we take exception to SMNI kasi hindi freedom of speech and ano yung sinasabi nila. Yung ginagawa nila ay ginagawa nila ay paninira ng reputasyon ng tao. At ginagawa talaga nila ay talagang meron silang ini-aim na katulad namin, lagi naman namin sinasabi, matatanong sa namin yung makabayan dyan sa impreso. So, kung puro yung mga paninira nila, may yun talaga sila ng manira ng tao. Hindi para maging responsible doon sa kanilang mga sinasabi, hindi maging responsible to the public kung nakapagsasabi ba sila ng totoo. Kasi very dangerous yung gano'n. Hindi nila malaman kung bakit tulad na pinakita kanina, yung UN rapporteur, sinabihan ng parang, kumbaga, spokesperson ba ng communist terrorist. Diba? Or, so, ito, hindi na masabi kung may problema o wala. Talagang problematic tayo doon sa dalang thinking na meron yung buong SMNI, kung pati yun ay hindi nila masabi. May problema ba doon o wala doon sa statement.
Tanong lang po, regarding dun sa source ni Kaya, di ba na-reveal na yun? Ano po ang update doon?
At na-reveal yun, sinabi kay Chairman, pero hindi pa rin alam.
Sino pa ano?
Oo, pero sinasabi niya pa rin na,
Dininayan yun eh.
Dininayan niya pa rin, ang dito after makalabas sila, sinasabi niya na, diba, gawa-gawa ng chairman. Yung gano'n. So, talagang
Sorry. Pinakabagan po namin kanina na mag-roll up yun kasi nga nagmukhang sinungaling ang komite sa ginawa na yun ni Kaya.
Yes, pinagmumukha niya ng sinungaling yung komite sa sinasabi na kahit na sinasabi niya executive session, sabi ko kay chair. Pero paglabas niya, sasabihin niya wala naman doon sa tao. So yun na lang natin kikita talaga lang dapat pagkakawalaan.
kanina kasi parang yung attorney lang parang hindi ata ko na alam na yung ginagawa rin sa issue ay part ng due process. Ano mo masasabi yun?
Well, hindi ko alam no, anong tawag niya sa ginagawa natin dito sa House of Representatives. Nakailang meeting na tayo, pang-apat na meeting na kabanata ito, hindi part ng, ng due process. Kung walang due process, pag nagpasa kami ng bill, approve na agad. Wala nang sabi-sabi or wala nang investigation. So matagal itong process ito. At yung sinasabi naman niya ay hindi naman nalagdag dyan sa legislative franchise on free air. Yung tungkol sa court, kaya pati nga siya naglalay, di ba? Pati nga siya nagsisinungaling, di ba? Hawak-hawak ito. Yung sa kanyang TLA, sa mga talents nila, no? Kaya talaga, nasa kultura talaga ng Smni yung kinukuha ay panunita at sinungaling.
Question ko po, kay Jason sa kanina po. Sabi niya po kanina na some of their contents running po sa social media are not the same as in life, which is yung ba yung binagit nyo kanina. We find it like difficult po na maniwala doon sa sinabi niyang statement. Kayo po, kaya bakit po siya sinabi na parang, kasi hindi naman totoo yan eh. Kasi same lang naman yung difference niya. Tapos sa site ko na hindi naman kayo control para ng MPC or MPRCB. So ano po yung hakbang na pwede mo gawin na ano ba yun, kahit hindi nga siya control ng other government agencies, but this kay paano we need to make sure that accountable pa rin ang mga networks sa mga content na lalabas nila, especially social media.
Kaya gusto na nga natin ibitahan dito yung mga social media. Kasi meron din naman silang certain regulations sa kanila yung mga yung gamit ng kanilang mga platform. At makita natin yung mga ganyan. Kasi sa kanila yung represent nila ang publiko or ang publiko na hindi indefinitely suspended yung franchise ng Smni. Kaya pumunta sila sa social media na tingin tuloy ng tao na wala naman. Di ba parang sinasabi nila, ano yan, wala naman sa amin ng kaya hindi lang kami. Kasi ano ba yung interest nila doon sa pag-iit ng gano'n. Kaya sinabi ko nga kanina, interest talaga nila, pera. At as tinatangkilik sila, ang dami na manood sa kanila, kumikita sila. So yun yung purpose na hindi para maging responsable sa tao. Ang tama o mali, responsable nila sa social media.
Last question. Since the Nagbabagang Vlog has been the #1 target ng SMNI for almost 3 years, sabi na lang naman since the start po nung show nila ka-Erika at Dr. Badon, what are the steps that you've been trying to do na hindi naman siya parang medyo naka-center for Nagbabagang Vlog, but center for everyone na may be targeted for this red tagging, false information, mga ganun.
Well, may mga ibang mga people's organizations, mga individual na nag-file ng kaso against sa SMNI. Especially kay Eric, saka kay Badoy. Siguro mga ilang ano na yan, ilang mga kaso na. And even sa ombudsman, meron na mga ipinaso. Noong pang naging spokesperson si Badoy, kaya yun naman yung ginagawa na. Ito, alam niyo naman kami, kahit na because kami pinutol na kami sa pagkatanggal ng ABS na franchise. Pero sabi ko, iba ito ngayon. Iba ito eh. Iba itong network na ito. Network ito ng mga sinungaling na network ng mga disinformation na hindi ito tanggap dun sa freedom of expression or freedom of the press. So, yun yung aming ginagawa. Sa patuloy pa rin natin ina-expose yung mga tingin natin ay delikado, dangerous na mga ginagawa nitong mga anchor na ito sa wherever it is sa social media man yan or whatever platform.
Question po, regarding po sa kanina sinabi po sa medical na naman certificate bigay naman ni Cubery na naman, maniniwala na naman ba naman ulit ba ang progreso sa susunod na pinatawag na naman ulit po siya na meron naman medical
Well, parang ano na lang yun, alibay na lang yun. Nakikita naman natin siya, nag-e-end pa siya sa social media, di ba? Kailan ba yan? Isang linggo talagang nagaan siya. Ngayon kapag parang excuse, parang kumbaga excuse na lang yan na na sinamplaka na yan, yung mga ganyan. Pero kapag talaga hindi siya dumating dito, ay talaga seryoso naman ang committee to take the necessary actions na para makapunta siya rito. Meron naman kami procedure para gawin.
Sa tingin niyo po kaya kailangan ng legislation para ma-cover ng mga batas natin dahil sa yung social media? Kasi yung citizens ko na kanina, di ba? Ang laging sinasabi ni Jason sa free to air, which is yung covered ng franchise, ng batas. Pero labas doon yung mga social media accounts. So sa tingin niyo ba kailangan talaga ng legislation covering social media accounts para sa isama na sa franchise?
Yes. Oo. Tingin natin, pag-isipan pa natin, ano, pero hindi against yung fake news. Kasi wala naman yung sa against misinformation. At ito nga, isa rin sa pwede natin, halimbawa yung mga social media. Para kasi no, yung regulatory power ng mga social media. Kaya pwede pag-uusapan pa namin kung paano yan. Kasi kami sa mga bayan, inat din naman kami na mag-validate freedom of speech.
Di ba, alam naman natin no, na nire-rentag talaga kayo as communist, di ba? Eh, tanong ko lang po, kasi dahil sa kakarentag na communist po kayo, ang lumalabas sa mga viewers ng SMNI ay pinapatakbo po kayo ni speaker. Kumbaga, si speaker, tsaka yung kayo ay nag-join force para pabagsakin sila. So, ang tanong ko lang po, ano pong masasabi ninyo na ito raw pong kay Speaker Martin, nagkaroon daw po ng komunistang congressman ang House. Ngayon lang daw po.
Well, kami naman lahat sa mga bayan, sinasabi nilang komunista. Di ba 2000 pa kami meron dito na ang bayan muna, na parte din ng makabayan. So lahat hindi lang naman. Kaya makikita mo talaga doon yung irrationality, no? Yung pagiging irrational ditong ditong Celis, tsaka ng Smni, tsaka ito nitong dalawa. So syempre kung hindi ito tugma doon sa kanilang opinion, o sa kanilang paniniwala, lahat na komunista. O di ba, lahat na terrorist. Katulad ng halimbawa yung UN Special Rapporteur na honorable, kagalang-galang, di ba, na talagang tinalaga dito ng iba't ibang bansa para pumunta rito. Ni-red tag pa. So, di ba, so as regards naman doon sa connigements, walang ganun. Ang makabayan has maintained its independence in terms of yung mga paninindigan namin, sa mga batas, o paano ng batas. So makikita niyo naman, di ba yung Chacha, pro-Chacha si Speaker, kami doon sa Chacha. Pro-Hardy ka sila, kami hindi. Kaya hindi totoo yung nagkukonsyabahan kami dun sa meron mga specific times na pwede kami magsama, diba, yung kung magbibigay sila ng yung mga ayuda or mga batas para sa mga magsasaka, para sa mga marginalized, doon kami nagkakaisa. Pero hindi kami, kumbaga yung aming dito ay principled yung kumbaga alliance namin.
Follow-up question lang po. Ano po masasabi niyo rin sa sinasabi nila na open book? Yung Congress daw ay parang tinatago ninyo yung mga corruption dito. Kaya ang sigaw nila, open book. Open book.
Free naman ng tao na magsulat or humingi ng mga record. Sinasabi nga na Secretary General natin dito, Secretary General Velasco, na open naman kung sino yung mga yan na humingi ng mga records namin dito. So, ganun din naman kami. Open din naman kami na sabi nila na saan namin dinadala yung aming mga pondo.
Kung ano pa lang po tayo.
Magkakaroon ba ng hearing regarding po dun sa 51 billion na na-open nung nakaraan? Kasi marami nagtatanong dun eh.
Magandang tanong yan. May nagko-contemplate, nagaan na sa makabayan ng paano, naghahanap lang kami ng ebidensya. Naghahanap pa kami talaga yan. So, syempre, kapag nag-file ka ng House Resolution, nag-inquire ka, wala dapat meron ka ng mga data. So, matagal yun, kaya pinag-aaralan kami. May mga narinig ako na yung mga congressman na gusto rin para questioning yung 51 billion in relation nga doon sa flooding dyan sa Davao City. Kasi ang laki-laki na ng pondo na napunta dyan through doon sa panahon ni Duterte. Kaya, yan nga, sinasabi ng Committee on Appropriation, 51 billion na. At nakita ko nga yung records na yun. Kaya nagpunta kami ng mga evidence.
So meron magaganap na
Parang may,
Tahir. Ay, nakasalamat.
May question po. May question po ako. Maiba naman po tayo po. Tatanong ko lang,
alam ko po na hindi naman kayo hindi naman kayo makamarcos. Alam ko naman yung stand nyo. Pero tanong ko lang po, ano yung masasabi nyo doon sa sinabi po ni dating Pangulo Rodrigo Duterte, doon sa sinabi niya na alam niyo po yung tanong niyo, nagpupulburon, pagkatapos gusto niyang ihiwalay ang Mindanao.
Yes. Well, as regards dun sa sinasabi ni dating Presidente Duterte, kay Marcos, kay ating Presidente Marcos Jr., so, nasa kanya yung burden of proof kung papatunayan ngayon. At the same time naman, kay President Marcos, napatunayan niya rin na sinasabi niya, hindi totoo yun. So, nasa kanila yung nasa kanila yun. But anyway, sa ganitong mga awayan nila, walang natatalo dito kundi ang bayan. Diba?
Tsaka yung paghiwalay po ng Mindanao, yung sinasabi.
Kaya talagang, well, ito rin yung paghiwalay ng Mindanao. Nakita naman natin na wala namang sumasama dun sa posisyon, kahit ang taong bayan siguro. Yung mga kasamahan ko dito taga Mindanao, hindi naman din nila gusto na umiwalay ang Mindanao sa Pilipinas. So, kaya lang nagagawa siguro kaya nagawa yun ni Duterte dahil sa kanyang personal interest, paggalit siya. Kung matatandaan niyo panahon ng GMA, sinabi niya rin na ihiwalay ang Mindanao. Pero wala namang pumapansin sa kanya kasi unconstitutional yun, diba? At magdudulot lang yun ng disunity at kaguluhan sa ating bayan. At dapat na lang ang gawin niya ay tumulong na lang ngayon, 101 million ang naapektuhan at nasasalita ng pagbaha at saka ng kalamidad. So dapat tumulong na lang siya doon kaysa yung ihiwalay nila yun. Ang dami nang pondo na napupunta sa Mindanao. Pero bakit ganun pa rin naging sitwasyon?
Tsaka parang gusto lang niyang magtago sa...
Yes, isa rin yun, tama ka. Isa rin yun sa gusto niya rin ihiwalay ang Mindanao dahil gusto niya rin magtalo sa accountability niya dahil kinakabahan siya darating na yung ICC dito.
In relation po lang po yan, Congresswoman, may usapan ng ugong na meron daw pong maglalabas daw po yung tangwara daw. Pares ano po masasabi po?
Well, siguro fake news yun kasi wala pa namang ganun stage ang ICC. Diba? So, ano lang yan, parang nag-insinuate lang sila ng kumbaga parang sinasabi sa parang magalit yung mga tao, magsimpatya.
Yes.
Kumuha lang siya ng sympathy. Pero actually, kung titignan natin yung procedure ng ICC, medyo malayo pa yun. Nasa stage pa nga lang sila ng
Investigation pa lang sila
finding the facts.
Hindi po ba natin pwedeng isalang sa hearing si Roque? Kasi si Roque nang papakalan fake news.
Well, kung meron house resolution, pwede naman. Kung may sa house resolution, pwede naman yan. Sa SMNI po. So it's up for the people, sa katulad ng mga vloggers na
pwede namin request
nagsasabi ng, nagtaano ng opinion ng mga tao. Di ba? Katulad niya, nag-gets nyo agad yung hidden agenda nila, mag-ano lang sila ng simpatsya, at saka parang yung mga tao ay pumanig sa kanila ng galit. Kaya talagang nasa atin na rin yun kung paniniwalaan natin. Kaya talagang gusto natin ang magkaroon ng media literacy sa ating mga kababayan para makita or ma-distinguish yung mali at tama, yung facts sa false news.
Thank you so much po. Thank you so much ang pagbigay niyo. Thank you so much po. Thank you po.
Ingat po.
Ay, next time, ganito gawin natin. Pag meron tayo ganito, mag-usap tayo. Huwag agad. Hindi pa tayo nagsabi, nakapagumata eh. Kailangan meron tayo kooperasyon bawat isa. Sino next? Sino isa? Mag-usap tayo before pa lang.
May tripod
Madali, picture.
Talaga, ay interview ka rin namin, admin hindi ka pa tapos, kala mo
Ako yung interview niyo, okay.
sige.
Ora. Ay, meron siyang post na yun,
Sali kami.
Hindi, post ko yun.
Video pa lang po, video pala daw.
Video pala.
Hindi, sagot ko. Hindi na sagot na, may sumagot na.
Oo, nainis na ako kayo, hindi nga ganyan
dapat ako yun. Matatambakan ako kay COG. Eh, tama? Nag-replace si COG. Pero mali yan. Ano ba? Kalong may picture na tayo. Uyak niya kay picture ko yung mag-isa nyo.
Ayan, wala akong phone eh. Lobat eh.
Ay, ikaw.
Hindi, ikaw prito ka. Dito, dito.
Ay, sumama ka dito mag-picture daw. Lumongos. Sabi, sumama ko mag-picture. Sabi,
Ano guys, ano masasabi nyo? Grabe no?
Anong grupo natin pre, makapalan?
malalaman na katawan. Nanap na tayo ni Rock.
Sinanap na doon ni Rocky.
Walang manipis dito ah.
Makapalan lang.
Walang sasama
Ay, lagay yung makapalan lang. Wait lang.
Palaki na
Okay, so till sa susunod ulit. Guys, sa next ano natin update. Alright, sa ating SMNI updates ulit. Ang galing, may ano. May disinfectant, ayun oh. After ng hearing, may disinfectant, ayun oh. Dinidisinfect yung ating mga ano dito.
Kung malaman hindi pa ho kayo.
Umiiwas din sa paggawa ng legislative about social media, no? Umiiwas sa paggawa ng legislative about social media.
Hoy, naghahanap na daw si Rocky. Hinahanap na daw ni Rocky.
Ibig sabihin mo,
Maganda rin yung mga sagot niya eh. Accurate din yung mga sagot niya eh.
Oo, kongresista eh. Bakit yan? O, itutour ko kayo dito ha. Itutour ko kayo dito sa Congress. Guys. Tutur ko kayo sa Congress. Sa mga hindi pa nag-subscribe, subscribe na po. Yan. Congress tour. Alcohol muna tayo. Congress tour. Yan. Hallway. Thank you po. Cholo, Circle. Justin Ma, thank you. So, ganito yung Congress. So, yun, oh. Itong basurahan sa Congress, oh. Po, ayun, oh, may chopper, oh. Tingnan nyo yung chopper dito, guys. Yan, guys, oh. Yan. Yan, oh. Zoom ko. Yan. So, chopper dito sa Congress. Okay? Pinakita ko sa inyo. We're here right now at the House of Representatives, Batasan, Pambansa, Quezon City. So, ito po ang House of Representatives. Okay? Dito po tayo sa Congress. So, ganito po yung mga cubicle ng mga offices. Ganito. Yan, office nila yan. France Pumarin. Bohol. Christine. Ito, Kamsur. Yan, mga office po nila yan. Daming office dito kasi 200 plus sila eh. So ito yung Daniel Z. Romualdez Hall. Yan. So Speaker Ferdinand Martin G. Romualdez, 1st District Leyte. Nag-inaugurate. Okay? So papa ni Speaker Romualdez. So ito yung hall. Tapos, dun yung kanina yung chopper. So, may mga alcohol. Sa mga hindi pa dito. Mahirap kasi dito pumasok eh. Kung wala kang appointment. So, syempre, kami nakakapasok. Kaysa i-end ko yung live, maglakad-lakad naman ako. Pakita ko na rin sa inyo kung anong nasa loob ng Congress. Yan. Ang daming parking lots dito. Napakalaki nito. Yan. So, maraming parking lots yan. Tapos pag mga inauguration, dito yung entrance nila. Yan, sa South Wing. Yan. Opo, parang City Hall. Tapos dito yung plenary na kung saan dito nagano si PBBM. Nagsusona. Ito yon. Saan daw? Oh. Saan tayo? Interviewin pa. Interview ka namin. Interview ka namin.
Interview ako sa North.
Sa North?
Doon naman kami sa North maglalabas din naman eh.
O, dun tayo.
Ingat ka.
Ingat. Interviewin ka namin. Saan na ba si Rocky? Nakauwi na.
Ano ba? Punyemas kayo. Ha?
Saan yun?
South?
South, yun ang South eh.
Ito South.
Yung Cafe Villa, yun ah.
Cafe, dun sa baba.
Oo.
Bye-bye.
Tara.
Silipid ko muna si
Pupunta daw sa ako.
siya.
So sarado na yun kasi alas 5 na.
Walang hearing yung Wednesday. Tuesday lang, di ba? Walang plenary, Monday, Tuesday.
Monday, Tuesday daw. Meron din ba? Usually dati, Monday, Tuesday lang sila.
Ito sa trabaho nila Monday to Wednesday.
Inedit lang. Totoo ba?
Ano yan?
Di mo tagal na yan?
Tagal na yan? Ano ka ba? Oo, ano ka ba?
Ano lang, pa yan na namuntok siya.
Ito yung pag nagsona. Yan. pag nagsona.
Ano pa siya, hindi pa siya mayor. Ay, hindi pa siya, ano,
Saan? Dito sa baba, oh.
mayor. Oo. Dahil sila lahat pakalbo. Ano ba yan?
Bumalik kami kasi mali yung mga message na binato kung saan. Saan ba? Doon yun pababa ah. Saan ba? Dito. Elevator. Pagod kami Mali yung information
Ako na walang malay. Dito na tayo bumaba.
Dito nga.
Hindi, doon pala.
Saan ba?
Doon.
Saan ba?
Kasi tayo, kulitin niyo sa Sophie. Yung kulit naman kong mga to, kapagod na ako. Sa baba na tayo. Uy, no passage by dyan. Pero pwede yun, dito pwede mo pass by dyan. Bawal.
Baba na tayo doon. Oo, trending ka
Tuloy ako ng interview. Dapat pala ano ba nangyari kay 31M? 31M, nakapokus kay Bagong Pilipinas Nakapokus siya dun Sa nakarang araw, nakapokus sila dun
Yan na. Po. So guys, sa susunod naman guys, magmi-meeting pa kami. Salamat ng marami. Okay, thank you so much. Bye.